Welcome to the Blue Emu Before the Green pre-race for the Firecracker 400. I'm David Schildhouse, and joining me, my broadcast partners, Parker Kligerman and Landon Cassill. Boys, it's been a wild 3 weeks since we started this journey. Landon, how on earth did we get to this point?
Well, David, we started out with a vision. Parker and we just said, let's see how big of an event that we can put on iRacing. When iRacing put out the newly released 1987 Cup car, what a better race than the Firecracker 400. We figured we could bring back history, some nostalgia, but also a format that attracts hundreds of drivers with a big prize purse just to narrow it down to a single starting field of 43. So, Parker, we had 344 drivers. We got them down to 43, and they're racing for $12,500.
And that's the thing. You mentioned it. It started as a dream, Landon. We had this dream, this idea of like, could you do this? Could you do this huge event on iRacing? And sure enough, we were able to pull it off. I don't think we ever expected 344 people to sign up, David, but we got there. And then, as you mentioned, Landon, the next job and probably tough part became, how do we get from 344 down to 43 to start the main event in the Firecracker 400? So that format that we came up with, maybe it wasn't the best one, maybe it wasn't the right one, but it's worked. And we do have 43 competitors now ready for the Firecracker 400. But that was a crazy couple weeks, David, getting down from 344 to that ultimate 43.
And it came via a whole bunch of preliminary races, 8 races to be exact, to get rid of those 301 drivers to get the 43 who would participate in the Firecracker 400. And luckily, we were able to get all those moments on tape, put them into one highlight video just for you. 2 weeks ago, 8 100-mile preliminary races whittled down a roster of hopeful drivers from 344 to just 88. Throughout these races, emotions ran high, and eventually, for the top 11 finishers in each race, triumphed. The first night of racing got off to a wild start as Christian Peterson battled 2 stars from the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Roush Fenway's Nathan Lyon and junior motorsports driver Michael Conti brought their A-game, but in the end, Peterson was simply the best of the bunch and took home the win. In race number 2, Seth the Merchant showed why he should be considered a serious threat to win the Firecracker 400, leading every lap en route to a dominating victory over eNASCAR veteran Bob Bryant. NASCAR Cup Series champion Kyle Busch was among those eliminated in this race, despite a strong run. Race number 3 featured some considerable drama as a result of eNASCAR driver Colin Keister's aggressive driving.
Here we see the replay down. Oh my gosh, just gets completely taken out.
IndyCar star Ed Carpenter saw his chances of transferring end after contact with Keister on the backstretch. Keister continued his aggressive march through the field and capped it off with an unbelievable 3-wide move to grab the lead and went on to score the win. A pair of eNASCAR drivers set the front row for race number 4, with Jake Nichols and Jimmy Mullis leading the field to the green flag. Mullis went on to take the win over Joseph Gallardo, while NASCAR Cup Series driver Denny Hamlin's hopes of making the Firecracker 400 fell by the wayside.
Oh no, in the back, Denny Hamlin's gonna get spun!
Night 2 of the preliminary races got jump-started with an amazing 3-wide finish that saw NASCAR Cup Series driver Garrett Smithley take the win in dramatic fashion. Notable drivers who failed to make the top 11 included NHRA funny car racer Ron Capps and JTG Doherty racing driver Christian Challenger. In race number 6, a fantastic duel between eNASCAR drivers Malik Ray and Brandon Cattell highlighted the 100 miles of racing action. Cattell scored a narrow victory over Ray, while notables Ray Alfala, Ryan Truex, and NASCAR Hall of Fame Class of 2020 inductee Bobby Labonte were eliminated. Race 7 may have had the most eyes on it, as Class of 2021 NASCAR Hall of Fame inductee Dale Earnhardt Jr. survived a wild final restart to secure a transfer position. Kane Cook had to make an amazing save in turn 3, opening the door for fellow eNASCAR driver Casey Kerwin to lead 1 lap, the last one, and score the victory. Seemingly saving the best for last, the drivers of race 8 created the most wild race of either night as a massive wreck in the middle of the field wiped out several notables, including Logan Clampett, TJ Majors, and Will Norton. In the end, Hendrick Motorsports driver William Byron stayed out of trouble and secured the final checkered flag of the night.
That was crazy, Parker. I mean, those 2 nights took a couple years off of my life. Crazy prelim races, but we got them down to 88 drivers from there, and then we set up 2 rounds of qualifying, used a traditional qualifying format, single car qualifying, where on day 1 we determined our pole sitter and the top 20 for the Firecracker 400, and then day 2 we re-racked them, everybody re-ran again, and we determined 21st through 43rd for the Firecracker 400. We had a lot of drama, we had some suspense. Joseph Galetta ended up on the pole for the Firecracker 400, and Mitchell Hunt ended up on the pole for the Firecracker 200, Parker.
Right, and there was a lot of surprises. We saw wrecks. We saw drivers, putting it on the absolute edge for qualifying, trying to make it in through those 2 rounds. There was some heartbreak, as you mentioned, but it was all overall an awesome show for single car qualifying. I don't know if I've watched that much excitement in single car qualifying in so long, because it was the perfect mix, David, of having to drive the car, really wheeling it over that 1 lap, but also having to find that perfect setup with variable conditions of the weather and it getting really hot and slick. So really cool, but I think we, in the end, ended up with probably the best 43 possible for the Firecracker 400, and that means the format really served its purpose.
I would agree with that, and I said on air when we were covering qualifying, at a high level glance, single car qualifying didn't sound like it was going to be that great of a show, and I was so wrong. We had the whole range of emotions that really mirrored, I think, what you see in real life NASCAR as well, especially when they go to Daytona for that Daytona 500. But not everyone can make it into the Firecracker 400, so naturally the question becomes, well, what about the rest of them? What about those who didn't make it in? Well, we had a race for them as well. It was the support race for the Firecracker 400. It took place on Monday night, and it was the Firecracker 200. And it wasn't anything that should have been missed. That much is for sure. An inauspicious start, but as you'll see through these highlights, one worth watching. Mitchell Hunt will bring him down, and the green flag is out for the Firecracker 200.
Oh,
no! Lap 1.
Oh, no, McCandless is in it.
Here's Nicholas Morse riding alongside. Oh, and just it's heavy damage for Nicholas Morse. Oh, just sliding a little bit. Oh, looks like he just clipped the apron and just kind of had to save it. 3 wide. Oh, my gosh. What are we doing, guys?
Yeah, he's sideways getting in the corners. It looked like what happened to Mitchell Hunt, who was right behind him. It looked like what happened to Hunt on lap 2. I look at the speeds. There's contact between Nick Morse and Collins. Collins is trying to save it, and he does. What a job.
So there was a kind of 2 incidents at the same time, but up here, Alex Kolinick, just a little contact with Morse.
We get a replay here of what happened back there, David.
Yep, that's Marshall Cable. Oh, what a save right there. Was that Morse?
Blake right now looking pretty untouchable.
Nicholas Morse decides, I'm going to go for the inside here, and Blake Reynolds and try to take the lead.
And that comes with a big push from Alex Kolinick with these. Oh, and he's with leader is wrecking. No blowover.
My gosh. Down early, probably not have many drafting partners, considering only about, I think, 4 or 5 cars stayed out.
As Reynolds leads the field here, you get a good look back from the back bumper. I like that camera right there. A lot to unpack there, but an aggressive move. We've seen some aggressive 3-wide moves, but this is an aggressive 3-wide move by the 270 machine. And this was an incident between the first incident was Jill Chatelaine. Oh no, Jill Chatelaine got loose by himself going into 3. Nathan Rabideau nowhere to go, along with Manon Rahman, and Rahman gets a little piece of that. Right hooks Rabideau. Dylan Thomas into it as well, but Rabideau with the huge hit. And Jill Chatelaine up and over as well. Oh my goodness.
Gare Bear got caught up early, had a little damage. Oh, and he just got too close to the wall, and that radius right is junk. Feel like this is
sideways.
Right up the apron. Saves it.
All of them, all the leaders have wrecked. All the leaders.
Oh my gosh!
Peter Bennett is the leader. Peter Bennett is leading this race. 3 wide into 3. Coming to take the white flag.
He gets super loose.
Oh, that's not going to work.
No.
They'll spin.
They turn
There's a blowover. Patello through. Patello is through. Oh my God! Justin Patello is through, but don't forget about Jake Poulin. Patello down low, Poulin up top. It's gonna be Jake Poulin across the line to win it. Oh my goodness! What a finish!
That was awesome. Oh my God.
Good.
That was one of the greatest finishes ever. We were all just screaming. None of us had voices left. We were air out of our lungs. I mean, what didn't happen in those last couple laps? Nothing. There was, lead changes, great restarts, crazy wrecks, and eventually an epic finish across the line. I loved the finish of that race. And I mean, if that was the precursor, then that was just incredible. What can we even expect tonight, Landon? I mean, that race last night was everything we could have hoped for.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, when you have 10 laps to go, 1 leader, and then with 5 laps to go, you still don't know who's going to win. And then when we take the final lap, you still don't know who's going to win. And even off at turn 4, we had a lead change coming to the line. Unbelievable race. If tonight's race is half as good as that, I'll call it a success.
One thing we should mention was there was, we've been looking for that underdog story, right, David, throughout this event. Yes. Who's going to rise up? We've let all different levels of iRating and license levels join this event, and our whole reasoning for that was to say, look, we want this to be inclusionary for all. We're not going to stop you to have a chance. It doesn't matter if you're Dale Earnhardt Jr. or rookie license, below 1,000 iRating. We're going to give you the same opportunity to get to the Firecracker 400. But last night, or on Monday night, when we saw that finish and that whole race, Peter Bennett, I mean, he was our underdog, Cinderella story there for a little bit. It was awesome, and he came so close to get a win.
Missed it by that much.
Yeah. So,
but some could say that was a historical finish to the Firecracker 200, and perhaps tonight we'll see another historical finish, and that's such a huge part of racing and NASCAR is its history. And of course, the Firecracker 400, a historical event all in its own when it comes to NASCAR, the sport we all love, a race that harkens back to the early days of our sport and has been a mainstay every summer at Daytona International Speedway. And that's a huge reason for why this event is so special. And it is those historical moments. Well, who better to bring the historical moments to this event than the actual authority on NASCAR's history, and that is the NASCAR Hall of Fame, a partner here with this event. And because of them coming on board, we can introduce some very cool things into this show, some things we want to share with you.
It is early morning on Florida's East Coast, but already the temperature 85 degrees, and that will wreak havoc with the engines and cars and drivers as they streak around the tri-oval at Daytona. The pace car is away. We are ready to unfurl the green at the 27th running of the Firecracker 400. It is underway, and already Bill Elliott, the man from Dawsonville, Georgia, is out in front of this 41-car field. Greg Sachs is the winner of the Firecracker 400. A major upset at Daytona today, and there are the people who pulled it off.
And now they run it flat out without as much as even backing off for the turns. Watch as Dale Earnhardt in car number 3.
Car number 90 turning and flipping, going into the wall, and that takes out at least 3 other cars.
Richmond across the finish line, the checkered flag to win the 28th running of the Firecracker 400.
Man, Parker, Dave, that was cool. I mean, just seeing that, I just appreciate it so much. First of all, so many thanks to the Hall of Fame and for Winston and his team for putting that together and for working with us for this event. I think everybody's going to see a lot of cool stuff on this show that we've been working really hard on. So it's going to be a great show, and the Hall of Fame has got a big involvement.
They do. And, Landon, it's so cool to have their involvement because being that you and I are such history buffs of motorsports, of this sport, you and I love going back and watching some of those old races on YouTube and seeing those, great moments. And so when this came about, we thought how cool it'd be if we could share some of those moments. Yeah. Why not go to the purveyors of all that history, the NASCAR Hall of Fame? We were so excited when they agreed to come on board and help us out with that. And I really think the fans out there are going to see some moments and some great things from these past Firecracker 400s that maybe they didn't know about, they hadn't seen before. I know I learned a lot watching some of this stuff, so I'm really excited for them to see this in the race. And David, I think it's just going to be an awesome showing of the great history of this sport and, of course, the Firecracker.
Absolutely right. And, we're all in the mood for education and learning. Well, there's a lot to be learned about these drivers who are participating in this 400-miler as well. And they all have their own unique story of how they got here, who they are in real life away from the sim, and everyone around them who powers them to victory lane, whether that's in the virtual world or in real life themselves. And so we've asked them to share some tidbits about them, and here they are in their own words.
Hey, it's Joseph Galata.
Calput's here.
Hey guys, Brian Blackford here.
I am AJ Henderson.
Hey everybody, my name is Kevin McAdams.
William Byron.
Come on everybody, this is Bob Bryant.
Hey guys, I'm Brian LaPrade.
Hey guys, this is Adam Gordon.
Hi, I'm Eddie Kerner.
Tony Balls here.
Hi, I'm Will Cooley.
Zane Scott here from Cassill, Ohio.
Hi, I'm John Gorlinsky.
My name's Alonzo Morales.
Hi, I'm Dylan Gooden.
Mitch Rule here.
My name is Brad Slaughter.
I don't have any fans with me other than this one.
And here's my spotter, Bowl Stadium champion Joe Manjo.
Getting ready for the Firecracker 400. Riley, Roscoe, got our pit crew. We're ready to rock and roll.
Just wanted to give a quick shout out to my son, Daniel.
Can you say number one?
It's going to be a fantastic race.
Check out this trophy.
This is my fan club leader, Dove.
Good luck to those running today.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Hopefully we put on a great race tonight.
Hopefully it's going to be a good race.
We're starting at the back, but we'll make our way up through there and hopefully be there at the end.
Can't wait to get it done.
It's going to be a good race.
As we go celebrate the 4th of July the American way.
400 miles around Old Daytona is going to be wild.
This is such a cool event, and hope there's more to come. Enjoy the race, guys.
So, we asked all the racers to do that because people forget that these are real human beings behind these computer screens, behind the wheels of these virtual cars. And we wanted to know more about them and know about their families and, what they do in everyday life. And I love those stories of some of these racers who, they work at 9 to 5 or they're going to college or they're just getting out of high school and they spend a lot of time sim racing and treat it very seriously and almost treat it like a job at times. So it's cool to see those little bits of background, to put some faces to the names of the stars we're going to see tonight, Landon. And I'm so glad for the drivers that did that because I just love seeing those little behind the scenes of their lives.
Yeah, we saw young guys, we saw family guys. We've got drivers with sponsors for tonight, Parker. I mean, this is a big event, and I just, appreciate all of their support systems and every minute that they've put in to make this a great event.
Well, fellas, it's about that time. We're ready to get this thing underway. Any closing thoughts before we head on to the track and let these guys show us what they're made of, Parker?
Oh, closing thoughts. You know what? If the history so far of this basically 3-week-old event is any telltale and like the historical moments you'll see throughout this broadcast, I think this is going to be an absolutely exciting race, an amazing race, hopefully a great show and something that hopefully the sim racing community will remember for a long time and hopefully will continue on for a long time, Landon. That's the thing. I want to be able to get this and do this all over again. So I'm just looking forward to going racing. Let's do it.
That's right. Let's see some racing.
Well, there you have it. I'm with you guys. I like that. And, today is not only a big day for sim racing, but like any big event, it comes with a purpose. As NASCAR Hall of Fame Executive Director Winston Kelly explains.
Since 1959, the hallowed banks of Daytona, a grand 2.5-mile super speedway, has hosted this July 4th tradition. NASCAR teams and drivers head south to revisit Daytona Beach to mark the halfway point in the season. With daring speeds in the middle of Florida's hot and humid summer, only the sport's greatest drivers consistently found success in this marquee event. Petty, Pearson, Allison, Yarborough, Earnhardt, Gordon, Legends of the past and Hall of Famers of today prove their skills behind the wheel with these challenging conditions. I'm Winston Kelly, Executive Director of the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and tonight we welcome you to honor the storied tradition of the Firecracker 400. The founding fathers of our sport. This fabled racetrack and incredible moments from 1985 to 1987. The cars you'll see are digital replicas of real 1987 race cars, just like those found at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, once driven by Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. These replicas will highlight the daring and tremendously challenging 220-mile-per-hour action tonight. There were over 300 entries from around the world, and just like the Firecracker 400 of old, 43 drivers and teams remain. Over the last 3 weeks, they have worked tirelessly in the garage, working to find the perfect balance of speed and handling. Current Cup Series driver William Byron, 2021 Hall of Fame inductee Dale Earnhardt Jr., and iRacing superstars highlight this star-studded field. With over $12,000 and a trophy up for grabs, there will be drama, chaos, controversy, and excitement. But at the end of the night, we'll conclude what has been a 3-week journey to crown the winner of the 2020 Firecracker 400.
Welcome to the INFRA Presents the Firecracker 400. I'm your host, David Schildhouse, and with me in the booth tonight, the promoters of this event, Parker Kligerman and Landon Cassill. Tonight, we'll have Kim Kuhn bringing us reports from pit road and a grid of 43 drivers who are ready to go for 400 miles. Whether you're watching us on Twitch, Facebook, or Twitter, we'll be in the chat all night long, so keep those comments going. Let's head to our Grand Marshal. We give you NASCAR Hall of Fame Class of 2011 inductee, Bobby Allison, for the command.
This is Bobby Allison, NASCAR Hall of Fame Class of 2011 and winner of the 1987 Firecracker 400. I'm honored to be here to watch you carry on a tradition that built the foundation of our sport. You have all come a long ways to be here, and with that I would like to say, gentlemen, start your engine.
That was great. Thank you, Bobby. Kim Kuhn and Winston Kelly are going to take us through our grid. Kim?
Thanks, David. We've got 43 hungry drivers, and I'm going to catch up with a few of them. Winston, start us with the pole sitter.
Round 1 qualifying was held last Wednesday, and Joseph Galata from Blue Point, New York, captured the INFRA Pole Award with a time of 42.725, averaging just over 210 miles per hour in his number 86 Chevrolet. Now let's go through the starting lineup for the 2020.
That was great. Thank you, Bobby. Kim Kuhn and Winston Kelly are going to take us through our grid. Kim?
Thanks, David. We've got 43 hungry drivers, and I'm going to catch up with a few of them. Winston, start us with the pole sitter.
Round 1 qualifying was held last Wednesday, and Joseph Galata from Blue Point, New York, captured the INFRA Pole Award with a time of
All right. It's time, boys. We've been waiting weeks for this, and now it's finally time to go racing here at Daytona International Speedway, the Firecracker 400. It's felt like an eternity with all of this, but here we are finally. Cars rolling off the grid. Parker, Landon, I'm ready to go, man.
Do it. This is awesome. It's been 3 weeks in the making, getting here to the Firecracker 400, the top 43 of this event from the 344 that entered at the beginning, Landon, but now we're finally here, the Firecracker 400, about to get underway and see these drivers battle out over 400 miles.
Absolutely, Parker. I mean, it's been 3 weeks. We did 2 rounds of qualifying. We had over 300 cars, but let's check out this starting grid. On the pole, we've got Joseph Galata and Jake Nichols on the front row. 2 amazing drivers. You're going to see a lot of those gray cards in this field. A lot of pro drivers. It's Nathan Lyon, Kane Cook, Kyle Putz, and Brandon Cattell.
Going to be Brian Blackford there coming from the 7th position. AJ Henderson, the controller king, in 8th. Kevin McAdams, 9th. Michael Conti in 10th. Casey Kerwin, 11th. Colin Bowden, 12th. William Byron Jr., 13th. Seth DeMerchant in 14th. Tucker Minter in 15th. Matt Busa, Colton Salick, Christian Peterson, Michael Guest, Jimmy Mullis round out the top 20. As you'll see the rest of the names scroll across the screen, Parker. 400 miles. These drivers got a lot that they got to take care of, but most importantly, they got to take care of each other if they're all going to survive this thing.
They do. We've seen a lot of carnage leading up here to this event. We've seen tons of wrecks, but this hopefully will be one of the cleanest races we've seen because, well, this is the best. This is the top 43 of this entire event that have made it here. Names like William Byron in the field, Dale Earnhardt Jr., but here we are, coming green, tons of NASCAR drivers, and some underdogs to see who comes out on top.
Pace car is going to leave the field in the hands of Joseph Galata. The big green egg, green flag in the air, and the Firecracker 400 is underway. Joseph Galata, Jake Nichols on the front row, side by side, getting up to speed, coming up through the gears as they go down to turn 1 for the first time.
And they seem to be 2 by 2, pretty orderly at this time. A couple cars dropped to the bottom there as we got on the front stretch. That's just them wanting to go to the back. They want to get away from maybe some of the possible carnage. But we've seen some early wrecks throughout this whole Fireweeks, we're calling it, in the Firecracker 400. And that happens normally here going off the 3 and 4. So let's see if they can keep it cleaner, Landon, and actually make it through here these first couple laps.
Yeah, as we're riding along with here with Kane Cook on the Blue Emu onboard cam. I don't know, Parker. A lot of drivers talk to us about dropping to the back, trying to stay out of trouble, but I think I want to be in the front all day. I want to be in that top 6 or 8. So if I got a good starting position like Joseph Galata, Jake Lyons, Jake Nichols, I think I want to stay up front.
Side by side right at the front right now, Nathan Lyon and Jake Nichols not wanting to give each other an inch for that lead. I mean, this is it's early to be doing this. As you look behind them, it's more single file, guys. It's starting to sort of settle itself down. I think drivers are looking for that space on the racetrack, trying to take care of these race cars, David.
Yeah, side by side for the first 6 positions, 3 rows of 2 wide there. But that's going to be Lyon and Nichols on the front row there, Kane Cook, Joseph Galata, the pole sitter there in the 2nd row, and then Cattell and Putz in that 3rd row. Everyone's sort of managing their space behind them, but this big pack right up front, consisting of about the first 13 or 14 cars, a lot of patience being shown here, as that's William Byron, the first car sort of by himself there. As we go on board with Dale Earnhardt Jr., remember he started last in this field, and has fought his way up to the 40th position. So not huge end roads being made yet for Junior, but 160 laps is a long time to get it done.
And I'm noticing something on that onboard. He's got a ton of space to himself and those cars in front of him. So what he's doing is trying to play a little bit of the safety game, right? Hang out the back, let maybe some of these cars get into trouble in this race, sort of see how this race plays out early on, at least stay on the lead lap. Obviously, you don't want to go a lap down. But in doing so, sort of hanging back, you're just going to protect yourself. We have to remind you, no resets tonight. You don't get a second chance, Landon. You've got to take care of that race car if you want to be in the fight later on.
Yeah, and that's really tough decision for some guys like Dale Jr. who, starting at the back, it's hard to even miss a wreck when it happens that far in front of you. So, it's this 3-wide racing up at the front. I don't know how I feel about that, but I still want to fight for those top 6 spots. And these guys are putting on a good show so far.
Working lap number 4. It looks like a high-speed pace lap, Parker. I mean, the way that they're still 2 by 2, but it's such a different feel than Monday night's Firecracker 200. Everything seems to be a lot more under control, if you will. We don't see the wild moves. They're giving each other a lot of space as they work around this racetrack, not pinching down on one another, which we saw a lot of on Monday night. So just a different feel overall, at least to me right now, in this race versus what we saw on Monday.
It is, and as we go on board William Byron here, the Blue Emu onboard cam. That's a pretty cool little view, but this just seems like these are drivers that maybe, you know, hey, they made it to the top 43 because they might be some of the best on the service. As you look at Brandon Hayes-Cattell fighting on the bottom there for the lead. Jake Nichols has never gotten off that top. He's getting pushed by Kane Cook, who's been trying to give him the speed, and it just goes 2x2 all the way back to outside the top 10. I mean, this looks like a eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series race, but these are the thing we should know, you know, compared to those cars, is these are incredibly hard to drive, Landon. They're moving around, they're on the bias by tires, they don't have the grip of those cars, so you're constantly fighting this car while trying to run in this pack style that we really haven't seen throughout this whole event.
Yeah, we have not seen a pack like this, and anytime we did see a pack, we saw incidents. You know, you've seen a big push from Nathan Lyon on Cattell. You can see that riding on the rear bumper cam there of Brandon Cattell, the leader on the Blue Emu onboard cam. Thank you, Blue Emu, by the way, for the 50 subs. I think you just gifted to the community over here on Twitch. So, I mean, are we looking at 3 wide for the lead? Are these guys going to go 3 wide for the lead, Parker, on lap 6?
Oh, no. Don't do it. Don't do it. It can only end in carnage. We don't want to see it. David, we've seen some incredible racing throughout these couple of weeks, but this is just on a whole nother level. I just don't want to see it be ruined. I don't want to see us lose 10 or 15 cars this early on. Let's keep it clean, guys. But I mean, they're doing an incredible job. I see a
lot of moves. A lot of moves from Galata there in the second row. The black 86 just made a pretty quick move to the outside, looked at going back to the inside, but wasn't clear. He had Kane Cook on his rear quarter panel. So Galata probably wanting to fight back to that lead spot.
I was watching that same thing. He looked like he was thinking about shooting the middle, and there just wasn't a window to do that, especially this early on as we get a ride with Dale Earnhardt Jr. off the front bumper there as he works his way up through traffic. He's currently scored in the 37th position. So a couple good battles here as we continue to watch these leaders. Nathan Lyon pushing Brandon Cattell along as we're going to have our first yellow flag of the event. One around, that's Alonso Morales. Another one up and over. Colton Salick does a perfect barrel roll, lands on his tires on the banking in 1 and 2, and keeps on digging. How about that? So we go under the first yellow, but I think severe crisis was averted there. As we look at what happened here going into turn 1, oh, this happened way ahead of them. This was way in front of them, further up the track. That was Colin Keister, the driver out of Roush Fenway Racing, just loses control going into turn 1 all by himself, overcorrects, smacks the wall, spins around on the banking, and while everyone's scattering to avoid him, that's when the second issue broke out as people tried to slow down.
And we talked a lot about the setups. You know, we're running open setups in this race. These drivers have had to dial their cars in and have the option to run spoiler angles all the way down from 10 degrees up to 70 degrees. So a lot of drivers with aggressive aero setups, and that that move right there from Colin was a sign of a car that probably had a 10-degree spoiler.
What we heard all of them saying, right, Landon? They're going to be loose. Everyone was talking about being loose. They really felt like, you know, they were all on edge, but that was the only way you were going to stay up front, was being that loose and being on edge. So I expect also, being that we did about, 7 or 8 laps, we're going to see a bunch of pit stops here, but maybe this is a perfect chance, guys, to check out one of those great Hall of Fame moments, historical moments that we've wanted to put in this broadcast. So why don't we hand it off to Winston Kelly and let him explain the first one.
Now let's look back at the NASCAR Hall of Fame historic moment as the green flag waves for the 1985 Firecracker 400, featuring NASCAR Hall of Famer Bill Elliott on the pole and taking a commanding lead in the opening lap.
At the 27th running of the Firecracker 400. It is underway, and already Bill Elliott, the man from Dawsonville, Georgia, is out in front of this 41-car field. Richard Petty sliding into 5th place, his 48th birthday only 2 days ago. Petty going down low. Kel Yarborough is also in the middle of that pack. And Richard Petty streaks into 2nd place. But already Elliott 5 car lengths in front. And that will be the theme today.
Pretty cool stuff. I love the history of NASCAR, man. I mean, that's a little bit before my time. I know it's definitely before your guys' time as well. But as we look at the battle off of pit road, everybody came down pit road here. And the first man off pit road is going to be Nathan Lyon. Cattell second. Cook, Nichols, and Putz will round out the top 5 as everyone came down.
Too.
Yeah, and that tells you just how important it is. And I want to make this point. Our first yellow flag, of course, brought out by Colin Keister. Remember, Colin Keister is a eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver who has won this year. He won at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he lost control of that car. If that doesn't tell you how hard it is to drive these things at their very limit, I don't know what else can.
Yeah, these things are a handful. I mean, they just move around so much, and especially with that spoiler angle and the adjustability and the setup, Parker, you can really push the limits on what you can handle as a driver.
Can, and the other thing is we just saw obviously the entirety of the field come down into pit road, and you might be thinking, hey, why wouldn't some of them want track position, that sort of thing? Look, these cars also wear the tires incredibly fast, so tire wear is a big deal. If we were to get a 20-lap run, 30-lap run, I'm telling you, you will see this pack start to thin out. You will see sort of, you know, the stronger cars in the handling department, the ones that have taken care of their tires, start to get away from some other cars, because these tires wear out a ton on this old Daytona surface with these old race cars that just don't have a lot of grip. And then they take away all the grip you could have by taking the spoiler all the way down, and you're left to something that's really not gonna, it's gonna go fast for a short amount of time, and then you're gonna be hanging on for dear life.
Well, now we get another restart here, and I gotta say, I want to bring up the other point of Colton Salick. He was involved. He was the second part of that crash, guys, and he went over. He did a full rollover in his car as he got involved in that thing, landed on his tires, drove away, and you look at it, the front end, it looks like it's been through about 500 miles at Bristol, but she's still running, and he'll probably be okay if he can hold on to the draft. Remains to be seen, but for rolling over on the banking at Daytona, I would say he's pretty lucky.
No resets tonight, so a lot of damage repaired. You got to have it. You got to have it. I did see the Blue Emu machine of A.J. Henderson, the controller king down there on pit road, a little bit extra long. I don't know if he got caught up in that accident or not, but it does, you know, these guys, it's going to be worth taking the time to fix your car, you know, especially this early in the race. You know, the cars last night, the car that won the race had damage on Monday night. So it's you just take your time, you know, keep the thing in one piece, keep it fixed on every opportunity you get to come down pit road.
We did see in the 200 though, right, on Monday night, some really damaged race cars were able to fight for the lead. So as we get the green here, I don't think your night's over, at least if you have a lot of damage.
See what they can get away with. Pace car is off. Big green egg, green flag back in the air. Nathan Lyon's going to lead him to it. Cassill, Cook, Nichols, and Puts your top five. Kevin McAdams, Byron, Kerwin, Conti, and David Brown. The top 10 as they fan out, get down to the bottom. A couple cars already aggressively getting down to that yellow line. Kerwin and David Brown, two of them there as they go single file for about the first 7 positions. Meanwhile, Byron and Conti were left up on the high side there. So you got to get down to the bottom, I think, on these restarts to protect your position as that field forms up off of 2. These cars circulate around the bank and get up to speed. It doesn't take them long, but you know what? They sound best at their top end. So let's take a listen to these mighty race cars as they roll around the World Center of Racing. It's a beautiful sound as they circulate the 2.5-mile Daytona International Speedway. A little bit closer in this pack now as Nathan Lyon continues to lead here. Kane Cook on the bottom following along. Kevin McAdams right there, third in line. Byron fourth on the bottom. Cassill leading that outside lane, Parker, with help from behind from Jake Nichols and Casey Kerwin. But it doesn't seem to be a clear advantage one way or the other if you're on the top or on the bottom.
It doesn't. They seem to be so equal right now. And you've got Brandon Hayes-Cassill up there leading the line now. Kane Cook on the bottom, and obviously Nathan Lyon has been able to stretch out a little bit. Let's see if he starts to sort of jump between lanes a little bit. It doesn't seem so. He's sort of committed to the bottom. We're not sort of seeing that blocking you see in the modern day cars back and forth protecting each lane. They're sticking to one lane that maybe their car runs best and staying there.
And for a report from pit road, let's bring in Kim Kuhn.
Yeah, well, interesting. Before that round of pit stops, Colin Keister was yelled at by Kane Cook for being too aggressive, he said. Cook, though, the one that's up front right now, and it looks to me like he's racing pretty aggressive. So pot calling kettle black, I think, a case of that. But Daytona's a place where you have to race aggressive regardless of when in the race you are. A lot of drivers already talking about arm fatigue, too, just because of how much you have to turn these race cars. So things getting aggressive early at Daytona.
Thanks, Kim. Arm fatigue, Parker. Man, these guys. Oh, man. I would just hate. You know what? I think I'd like to have Bobby Allison back in here and tell us about some arm fatigue driving these 19.
Right.
That's a new one. That's a new one.
That's a good one. That's a great report,
Arm
Kim.
fatigue.
Thank you so much. Keister, you know, that was a tough move. It at least makes me tip of the hat to my good friend Ed Carpenter, who had some tough luck later back in the prelims in Keister's race. We're riding along with Casey Kerwin here.
Well, if there was a driver that was going to embody the term aggressive, Colin Keister certainly is it. We saw in the highlights from this prelim race. That's what got him the win, aggression. It bit him early, and then it helped him at the end to get the win in his prelim race, Parker. And he's consistent. It doesn't matter what the conditions are, what's on the line. If there's a race and he's in it, he's going to be aggressive. And it's one of those double-edged swords, I think, for a race car driver. But it's gotten him to where he is, and he has succeeded at the highest level.
But did you time the conditions word with the conditions popping right up on the screens? You can tell the track temp's 100 degrees, air temp 84 degrees. So it's not that hot of a time right now, or at least the hottest we've seen throughout this entire event. Man, guys, I cannot get over. This is side by side, 10, 12 rows. I mean, this is nuts.
Well, Parker, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. It's 10:21 in the morning in Daytona right now. Remember, back in 1987, this race, they held this race at 10 a.m. You know, you could get it done 3 hours, get your lunch, head out to the beach with a cooler, and celebrate the Independence Day holiday. So, you know, some really cool conditions right now on the racetrack. There's a lot of grip. That's definitely helping this double file racing. Once we get into the afternoon, though, this is a 3-hour race. So when we get into the afternoon, it's going to get hot. It's going to get slick. I'd be really surprised to see this much side-by-side racing.
Slide a little bit further back in the pack.
Yeah, they're just bouncing around so much, David. Yeah, you look back there, there's Dale Earnhardt Jr. Where's he running right now? 26. So he's moved up a lot, and he's in single file, probably in a safe position. These guys are all about, what, 4 or 5 seconds back from the lead pack. Single file, just sort of biding their time and taking care of the race car, I think.
I see two different packs here. I see one lead pack and then another pack that Junior was leading and now has sort of dropped away from. That's your top 24 in one pack, and then it's 25th, Joshua Chin, on back from there. So 2 packs have broken out. Your top 24 there. Justin Lisenby at the back of that train, if you will. But this big group up front is what we've been watching, and they've been this way pretty much since the drop of the green flag, as we're riding on board with Briar LaPrade, Patriot Briar here on Twitch, driver for Burton Kligerman Esports. Parker, he's doing a great job right now.
He is doing a great job, and I'm just enamored with basically what's happening here on the screen. Brandon Hayes-Cattell there. Oh, wow, he squeezed Nathan Lyon a little bit off of turn 2, and he had Jake Nichols push them. Now Kane Cook gets the back bumper of Nathan Lyon. That's that yellow car's Kane Cook behind him. Now Brandon Hayes-Cattell moves to the bottom in that 14 Barstool sports car, trying to protect a little bit, so he's moving around.
He's just kind of playing both lanes there, Parker. A little bit like what we see in the modern day pack racing, just playing in both lanes. So the bottom was a big advantage, as we saw in the prelims. I feel like even in the 200 on Monday, but the more that these drivers commit to that top lane and rubber in the top lane, the better their grip is going to be. And I think that top lane will really come in late in the race when it is slick and you can't hold the bottom as well if it's rubbered up. So they're kind of doing the work right now for what they might need later. Oh, sweet, little accident off of 2. Does bring out the caution.
That's going to be our second yellow flag of the event, and that's Malik Ray, who's dead stopped against the outside wall. As he worked through the banking of 1 and 2, he just got into a death wobble in the middle of the corner. Could not save it, had to chase it up the track, and eats up that outside wall in his number 51 Rowdy Energy Chevy. That's a big blow for Malik Ray, somebody who was considered to be a serious threat for the win here tonight, but it's not going to play out for him as Malik Ray has pulled the car behind the wall, and that is going to be an end to his Firecracker 400 very early on in this event, Parker.
Yeah, and he actually had an interesting time trying to get to his sim rig tonight. Apparently, he was getting back from work late and had to basically find an alternate way. Yeah, break into his house, find a way into his own house because I guess he was locked out or something. So it's not his night right now. But unfortunately, Malik is such a cool guy in the sim racing community and iRacing community. He's a great Twitch streamer, really entertaining to watch, really talented racer. I've raced against him a ton in a ton of different leagues. Great reactions, as you said, Landon. He has hilarious reactions, and he's a really good winner. I mean, in terms of going out there, and when he's presented opportunity, I've just seen it many times. When he's presented an opportunity, he can go up there and grab the win and has a ton of speed.
I think are you going to pit right now? I mean, I think the leaders are coming down pit road maybe. Are you going to get 4 tires again? I mean, we just got them 15 laps ago.
100%. Yep, 100%. I think you'll see majority of the field come down pit road here. Tires mean so much. They're basically everything in these cars, and especially how loose some of these guys have this set up, how little spoiler they have. They're absolutely all going to pit. I'd be surprised if anyone stays out.
Nobody stays out. All 41 cars still running in this event come down pit road to the attention of their crew. Should be 4 tires and fuel, I would imagine. 2 cars now officially out of this event. 2 eNASCAR drivers of note as well. Colin Keister, who was the first caution flag. Malik Ray, the most recent caution flag. Both of them out of this event. So that leaves 41 runnings, all still on the lead lap. But I think a little bit of a surprise to see the first 2 cars out be those who come from the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. As the rush off pit road, we'll see.
Looks like Jake
Nichols be the leader.
I saw Cattell coming out 4th, so everybody, a lot of 4 tires still. I don't know, Parker. I mean, it's 2 tires. I'm curious at what point 2 tires is an option. Maybe it's towards the end of this race.
I think it's when track position becomes the end-all be-all. But from what we're seeing, especially these slightly not long runs, but slightly longer runs, I think that tires are just going to continue to be important until they get late in the race and want to take that risk for track position.
Yeah. Well, cool. We just saw another gifted sub bomb from Blue Emu. Thank you for that. And let's take it back to Winston and get another historic moment from the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
In this NASCAR Hall of Fame historic moment, Hall of Famers Dale Earnhardt and Benny Parsons battle for the lead with Kyle Petty around lap 83 of the 1985 Firecracker 400.
4th position. It is now still Benny Parsons, Dale Earnhardt, and Kyle Petty as they approach the tri-oval and the start-finish line here in front of a crowd estimated at 75,000. Lead changes now as these cars thunder into turn 1. Dale Earnhardt, who started amazingly in 18th position, has moved in front. Benny Parsons, removed from the draft, is sliding behind as Bill Elliott moves into 3rd. And now it is Earnhardt, Petty, and Elliott as these cars prepare to cover the backstretch of 3,000 feet in 10 seconds.
Another great moment there, and had another big moment here in this race. For that, we'll head down to pit road with Kim Kuhn.
Well, although Malik Ray has a ton of experience, these were actually his first laps in race setup on this car in the race. He didn't really have the opportunity to test the setup beforehand, and going into the race expected the car to be very loose. So not a huge surprise seeing Malik Ray out of the race early.
That's tough.
Good point. Really good point. You got to put in the practice.
You got to put in the time. And I talked to Malik. I knew he was busy. This is just, it's really hard to just jump in. I tried to run one of the practice races before the Firecracker 200, and I just hopped in. We got about 5 laps on our tires. I was on the inside beneath Gary Sexton, I believe, and just hospital hop, sent it right up in the fence, took him with me.
Hospital hop. That's a technical term, right?
Yeah, it's a real racing term, Parker.
I think that's what we saw out of Malik Ray as well there. Interesting to note here as we get ready for this next restart, the driver out in front of this field is going to be the leader, Michael Conti, who elected to take 2 tires on his pit stop. So you talked about it before we saw that historical moment with Winston, who might do the 2 tires and when. Well, we just saw our first one here, Michael Conti for Junior Motorsports. 2-tire pit stop, leading this field back to the green flag, big green egg, green flag back in the air here, starting lap 25 of the Firecracker 400. Conti on 2 tires. Let's see how this plays out for him.
A lot of checkup. We've been seeing some games on these restarts. It looks like little checking up, some drivers having an accordion effect. I think they're really trying to anticipate the starts, but that's a big lead for Conti and Nichols right now. It'll be interesting to see, how quickly these 3rd and 4th place cars can organize and gobble them up.
Yeah, I assume they get a huge run. We've seen this a couple times in these races where essentially you get that big lead and then that pack just runs you right down as we see them come with a head of steam. Nathan Lyon and Brandon Hayes can tell, look how much faster they are than Conti and Nichols. They're going to gobble them right up.
Yeah, it's a huge run as they go to the outside, block from Nichols. And they're wrecking. The leaders are wrecking. He's upside down hard.
Oh my gosh.
Nathan Lyon up and over, tumbling on the front straightaway after cutting off Michael Conti. There was just no room to make that work. Oh no, and that's more cars involved. Oh my goodness.
This is the big wreck that everybody's talking about. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has some damage in this wreck. I saw a big save from Brian Blackford. It looks like Junior just got rear-ended. His car looks okay, but I mean, there was some major damage after the fact.
We look at the replay, the hole wasn't there. Lyon thought he was going to carry more momentum to clear Conti. Big sweeping top to bottom move, and the hole just wasn't there. Left rear to right front contact. He gets tagged by a few more, Garrett Conrath included. And we have our first big incident involving the leaders, and that's just a mistake. And again, somebody from the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, you don't expect to see that type of stuff, but gosh, that just seems so early to make that big of a move, Parker.
It does, and these guys are all, the NASCAR drivers are so talented, right? That's why they are at the top of the sim racing world. But at the same token, doing a race like this, it takes them a little bit out of their comfort zone, driving a different car, doing something a little off kilter like this. And I think, for some of them, they're so confident, they have so many skills, they almost get sucked into racing like that. That intensity of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series and the modern day cars, and these cars just need a little bit more patience, a little bit more finesse, right? And I think that's what you're seeing some of them just not realizing that, not thinking about the 400 miles that's here. And that's a big wreck for Garrett Conrad. That's ouch. You don't want to see that. That's never fun.
No, and that's tough. Mitch Rollo got rear-ended by the same driver who rear-ended Junior. That was Brad Slaughter Jr., who came through the crash a little bit faster than you probably would have wanted to see somebody coming through there, but everyone trying to get on the binders to slow up. That's the second time Rollo has been rear-ended for slowing down for a crash. But I think Junior's going to be okay. Just a tough scene right there as everyone gets back in line here for this pacing lap. But goodness gracious, that is a big incident.
We can't call that a Ventrac blowover, can we? Because he
got
knocked over.
Grip roll. Yeah, that wasn't a blowover. It didn't look.
All right.
Is that a grollover?
Ventrac blowover. It's a grollover again?
Oh, another grollover?
We're hearing that Dale Earnhardt Jr. Well,
no.
It went from bad to worse for him. He lost his engine, is what we're being told, as he sits in his pit stall. As we're going to see what happens here, circulating under that yellow flag.
And this is, you didn't have a ton of damage, but this is one thing you should note. When you do get a lot of damage in iRacing, or you get the right damage in the right areas that can hurt the engine, there is times where that engine can overheat or have issues, and you saw it there. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s engine blew up. That was all that smoke, so his night will be over.
Wow. They add another one to the list of DNFs.
I mean, you've got Nathan Lyon, Brad Slaughter, Mitch Rollo, Zane Scott collected. I mean, there's a lot of drivers, which is really going to just clear the field as we go back to green here. it really is going to open the opportunity for a lot of green flag racing.
It will, and we expected this, right? We expected to have a little bit of a culling of the field early on, but once you get down to a little less cars, everyone starts to get the message, oh wait, this isn't going to be super clean all the time, at least in the beginning, maybe I should back it up. That's when we could potentially see a very long green flag run.
Well, it opens up the opportunity while we're under yellow to take one more historical moment in, and we'll head over to Winston Kelly with that.
In one of the most shocking NASCAR Hall of Fame historic moments, we see an unexpected winner of the 1985 Firecracker 400 in Greg Sacks. The race would be Sacks' only Premier Series win.
Greg Sacks is the winner of the Firecracker 400. A major upset at Daytona today, and there are the people who pulled it off. They didn't work together more than a week ago, but somehow they put it all together today.
So many cool scenes, man. Daytona is just, it's just a hotbed for fantastic history. And it's such an important speedway. Both of you have made laps around here and know it very well. What is it about Daytona and history that just go hand in hand?
And it's the original race. I mean, it's the original super speedway, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Well,
it's perfect.
I think, this Daytona, right? Birthplace of NASCAR and, the home of NASCAR. And it just, when you think stock car racing and you think the ultimate highest level of it, you think about Daytona. And that's just because it has the biggest race, Daytona 500, but it's always had this race, the Firecracker 400, for years. And this was a great addition to the sport. And it was such a cool race because it was so different than the 500. It was about the heat, David, about the, being able to survive and be a little bit more, I guess, in a lot of ways, tougher, physically tougher, mentally tougher because of those things. So, that's what we're trying to do here in the sim racing version. And so far, we're seeing it's going to be a little bit of a survival test in a lot of ways.
Well, we've already heard reports of arm fatigue, and we're only on lap 29. Big green flag back in the air. Jake Nichols leading him down. Brandon Cassill behind him. Kane Cook as they fan out again. Casey Kerwin down to the bottom of that outside lane, led by Colin Bowden. Haven't mentioned his name yet much tonight. Leading the outside charge. He's got the 83 of David Brown, along with the Ventrac machine of Tucker Minter.
We're on board here. Jake Nichols, now we go to the wider shot. A little bit more spread out. We're starting to see maybe they're getting a little smarter here. The top lane looks to be stronger once again. Cattell's forced to the bottom. And of course, they're going to find themselves 2x2x2 for about 4 rows there.
They're going to go right back into it, Parker.
With another report from pit road, let's bring in Kim Kuhn.
Hey guys, well, I'm not only doing some pit reporting, but I'm also looking over social media, all the fans and viewers using that hashtag Firecracker400. We got a great tweet from Freddie Kraft. Most of you know Freddie as Bubba Wallace's spotter in the Cup Series. He said, tuned in, the early going of the Firecracker 400. Of course, pulling for our Dirty Mo Media boss. That would be Dale Jr. Sorry, Freddie, he's out. But Freddie says the STP number 43, Bowden's machine, is looking pretty sharp, so he can continue to cheer for Bowden. And giving some props to you, Landon, for a ton of work that you put into this. It definitely shows. So, hey, Freddie, good to have you watching tonight. Then we got another great tweet from Rouse Fenway Racing. They had that screenshot of Nathan Lyon in that last crash and said, yeah, I'm flying through the air. This is not good. A Talladega Nights.
Hey, not good, Kim. We've got another caution on the speedway. So we're going to see what this is.
It was Bob Bryant in the 42 losing it all by himself up on the banking in 3 and 4. Bob Bryant rear end steps out, brings it down the track right into the path of Alec Martinez, unfortunately. Collects both of those cars. Martinez continues on. Bryant slides, rights the ship. Martinez, meanwhile, goes through the grass. Yeah,
I mean, you saw the sparks. You saw the sparks immediately, and then the car jumped sideways. That was really odd. Maybe running that car really low air pressure, something along those lines, just a little high up. There is some bumps up top there off of 4. He just lost the race car.
I know that Kim, I think maybe we'll get Kim back in here to give us some info on Bob Bryant, because I know that she had some story on his setup and how his car was prepared, but that definitely looked like just low air pressures, low car, loose setup, and needed to get everything up to temps.
Well, we talked about it. We saw it a little bit in the single car qualifying. Once we switched over to open setups, Landon, I think you pointed it out, how low on the left front some of these cars were, which, these guys are trying to find all the speed they can. So if you're trying to drop the ride height of these cars, you're going to make it more susceptible to the bumps themselves. And so when that happens, that makes it easier for these drivers to lose control when they don't hit it right. Is that correct?
It does. And it's one of those things of open setups and these cars and, the bumps. You're trying to play that game of finding that right ride height and spring combination and spoiler and dealing with basically the idea of how fast do you want this car to be versus how comfortable is it to drive. And that's what all these drivers, all 43 that entered this race, were dealing with and, internally conflicting in their minds about what to do as we see, Brandon Hayes-Cattell is going to get to the pit lane here.
Pit by himself, giving up a lot of track position.
Yeah.
It's only been about 10 laps since he was last on pit road, but he's decided to relinquish the second position.
Okay,
and
so
he's going to bring that car down pit road.
But he's going to give up at least 10 or 15 spots here.
Surprising
it's
strategy.
Pretty interesting now to see some guys start getting off sequence from each other. Maybe not too surprising. I think some of these guys could be deciding that they just want track position. But let's hear from Kim. I think she might have that report on Bob Bryant.
Yeah, well, you guys had talked about the two different ways to set up the car. You can either go with more downforce, which means more drag, which can rob the car of speed, but more stability, or you can trim it out, which makes it faster but looser. Bob Bryant elected for that second option. That car is trimmed out, very loose, and he talked about the right front burning out no matter what the car is set up for. So went with the trimmed out, loose spectrum, and said in terms of what he expects tonight, the less experienced guys will cause issues. The end is going to be memorable, he says. And he was watching on Monday the Firecracker 200, and he says, based on what he saw in that race, trust nobody.
Good advice.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Now, I won't say that the less experienced have caused the issues here early on, because it's our most experienced.
That's exactly where I was going to go with as well. I think all three of us, our ears perked up when we heard that, because it's been quite the contrary. The yellows that we've seen have been our top tier drivers. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's been. I mean, let's take a look at it again, just so we can see. I mean, we're going to see Bob with a handful of a car. Let's ride along with Alec Martinez here. Nowhere to go. Brian just losing it. That right front damage. Hopefully there's no engine damage that comes with that, even though that's a pretty heavy hit. But, Kim made a really good point there talking about Bob's setup. So these cars, they seem like mechanically they favor a really tight setup. They burn the right front off on long runs, like she said. They're really hard to keep the front tires on them, but yet they're still really loose into the corners, especially when you're in clean air. For some reason, a lot of these drivers have been talking about having to get their cars tight enough for clean air without being too tight in dirty air. So, they like to have that spoiler laid back, but then once they get in the lead, the cars are really, really loose. So it's really a tough balance that we're going to be keeping an eye on all night.
Well, that was explained to me by a pretty high-end driver. I'll exclude his name, but as it was told to me about these cars, they like turning the steering wheel. They like having the steering wheel with a lot of input into them. They respond well to it, even if it's going to burn the right front off of it and overheat that right front. They like that steering input into it. So if you're putting a lot of steering input into the car, it almost seems natural that you don't want to have it over rotating. You don't want to have it in a looser setup, because the more you turn, the more that rear end's going to want to come around and try and swap with the front end. So a tighter setup makes sense in that regard. But again, as we've talked about over the past few weeks, it's all about striking that balance, finding the right balance between oversteer and understeer, but still finding a lot of speed as we get ready for another restart. It's going to be Jake Nichols once again leading the field back to the green flag. We'll take an onboard look at this restart from Blue Emu onboard cam, John Gorlinski. So he'll carry us through as we look at Barney with the green flag in hand. Big green egg, green flag back in the air, starting lap 36 of the Firecracker 400. Nichols, Cook, Bowden, Kerwin, Galata, your top 5.
A little bit of bump drafting back in the pack there. You heard a couple of them. Looks like this front 8-10 cars might break away. Tailing at the back there is William Byron. So you're on board with John Gorlinski down on the right, the Blue Emu onboard cam. And of course they get side by side right at the front because that's what we've been this entire race. It just seems like they feel most comfortable doing that. They don't want to be in a line. They don't need to be. They're just finding themselves side by side at the front, wanting to race for the lead.
That's Cassill, that your leader from the last caution had pitted, was first car to pit. He's running 20th now, riding along board with Brandon Hayes Cassill. And again, we're 2x2 for the lead. It is thinning out a little bit more, but those top 8 cars still want to race aggressively. You can see about 7 cars back. It looks like William Byron in the outside lane. That's the Logitech logo on his hood.
The old Logitech logo, we should add.
The old one.
It's a beautiful race car. Right behind him is Tucker Minter in that green and white car, Ventract car, the sponsor of our blowover account, which you can, if we do get a blowover, you can use !blowover to go to ventract.com, check out the construction procurement company they are.
And Parker, while we're talking about our sponsored cars, the 1K right there, the third row back on the inside, that's Jared Ickes, and he's driving the Radius 1K. That's a $1,000 bonus from Radius Bob if Jared can win. Jared, another one of our underdog stories, he started pretty deep in the field, so it's good to see him all the way to the top 5.
Blade David, I mean, they're, 7, 8 cars strong. The bottom lane is just 3 cars right now, led by Jake Nichols, who's been really strong this entire race. I mean, he has consistently been in the top 2 or 3 positions, but only a couple of cars on the bottom. They're holding really strong down there against that huge line of cars up top.
It's fascinating to watch how the runs develop as they work around the racetrack. 3 cars up top, 4 down low, 3 down low, 4 up top. And as Nichols slides up to cover off the top with Kane Cook, now just leaves 2 on the bottom. As we've been looking at Jared Ickes there, now we look at AJ Henderson, who was started up towards the front, now finds himself all the way back in the 37th position, well back from the madness up towards the front of this. So perhaps just playing it safe, knowing there's a long way to go in this race. And yeah, I think as a driver in this event, Landon, you see a couple of big wrecks and makes you, change your approach. If you were perhaps thinking about staying safe up front and then you see the wrecks are up front, well, you say, well, I'll go to the back then.
Yeah, it's I think that there's no safe place to be, though. I mean, it's really hard to miss a wreck here. It's really hard to keep from getting run over from someone behind you, even if you're towards the back of the pack. There's just no safe place. Trust no one, like Bob Bryant said.
It takes a lot of trust to do this type of racing, though, doesn't it? It's like that's a catch-22. You got to trust the guys not to not to run you over, but also trust them to run in these packs.
Yeah, we're riding here with Casey Kerwin. This is a guy that was side drafting really hard. Mullis is kind of dropping back. Jimmy Mullis, NASCAR driver. Maybe these guys are kind of settling in, I think. And just going to try to find a ride and a rhythm. Remember that fuel window is about 35 laps. So we're on lap 40. We're just a handful of laps into this stint right here. So maybe we'll see a green flag pit stop.
Stint? What are we doing? Sports car racing? You meant run, fuel run. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. But no, I think we both expected this, right? We expected to have a bit of a larger wreck maybe at some point early on in the race, David, as we saw in the Firecracker 200, and then things settle down. It seems like the enthusiasm, the reality that you could get wrecked becomes real, and suddenly you sort of start to say, all right, let's race this a little cleaner.
Parker, but we haven't had that larger wreck. I mean, yeah, we had 5 or 6 cars taken out in this first wreck. In the Firecracker 200, we had a 20-car incident. Whoa, as you see that
3 wide
run sideways for the lead. And that's Jared Ickes charging for the lead in the Radius 1K. Radius Bob standing up right now.
On his feet.
Beautiful
car.
Look at that beautiful car. We got so many great sponsors in this event. Obviously in the chat, as Jared gets a bump draft from Bowden. In the chat in Twitch, if you type !winner winner, we have a giveaway at eracer.gg.
To by our awesome partner, INFRA. That's the
Also
title
part of-
sponsor of the whole event.
INFRA Resolutions are title sponsors, giving away, I think, a gaming headset, a gaming keyboard,
a monitor, 27-inch monitor, and a big green egg as well, which is not from INFRA. Obviously, it's from Big Green Egg, but an awesome set of prizes in the giveaway. Go check it out as soon as you can.
Yeah, winner. And then also, if you do go to buyinfra.com, use the promo code ERACER. Make sure you take the E and from the middle of the word and move it to the front, and that'll get you 10% off on your IT hardware and equipment. So thank you.
We're 3 wide.
3 wide for the lead. What am I talking about right now? Casey Kerwin sideways, William Byron on his bumper.
3 wide for second row now. That's tight with Byron and Nichols. And Bowden's going to back out of that thing wisely. Wisely backs out of that. That got really, really sketchy really quick. I'll tell you this. I've been listening. I think we were all listening to the scanners of the drivers as they talk to each other. Kane Cook was not very happy with Colin Bowden a few laps ago when that scuffle broke out. Cook a little bit critical of Bowden there making that happen. But look at who's back inside the top 6 here on those fresh tires. Brandon Cattell on the outside of William Byron now, working his way back up there. So we wondered about the strategy of coming down pit road, giving up all that track position. But here he is back inside the top 5.
I want to talk about Jared Ickes for just a second here, guys. I don't think you understand this. Look at the crowd that is in this top 10. These are all, look at those. Look at the black licenses on this pylon. Those are NASCAR drivers, and Jared Ickes in the smack in the middle of them. Independent operation, no teammates, built the setup on him by himself. Recently married in October. His wife supports his sim racing pursuits. I mean, he said that qualifying last week was the toughest thing he's ever done on iRacing. This is, I think I found the guy I'm rooting for.
Well, we always want to find an underdog, right? We've been saying it all month long. We found him right here, Jared Ickes. We wanted to find that underdog. Oh, wow.
All right, maybe we should stop talking about him for a sec. We don't want to curse the poor boy.
That got a little intense, but the point was, we wanted to see who's going to rise up against some of the best in the world, these NASCAR drivers, real-life drivers like William Byron, and show the skills that they have that maybe they just don't always get the chance to do. Maybe Jared Ickes is doing that here tonight.
Yeah, let's hear from Kim.
Jared Ickes showing what he's made of, currently running the 4th position, and that's pretty spectacular considering he said he struggled with the race setup, and he's a single-car operation, so that means no team pack testing for Jared. And Parker and Landon, I know you guys know how important it is to practice in the pack. Well, he's doing a fantastic job without having any of that. And I do want to give a little shout out to Jared's wife. They were married in October, and she apparently supports his sim racing pursuits, which is very important. Happy wife, happy life.
There you go. Thank you, Kim.
Very important.
Landon, as we see him 3 wide again for the lead.
Yeah. Well, he just got real sideways right from the lead there in front of Casey Kerwin. Oh, boy.
Do you think these guys realize it's lap 47 of 160? They've been going 3 wide for the lead a couple of times now.
They don't care. No idea how they can handle this right now.
Basically, 10 laps into this run, the tires are definitely starting to go away on these things. They're starting to slide around more. And here we are, throwing jabs at each other and getting 3 wide for the lead. This is madness.
Oh, man. It's fantastic. I mean, now as Casey Kerwin takes over the lead of this race, you see up at the top right corner a little bit of an explanation, a key, if you will, about how the licenses work in iRacing. When you see these colors next to the drivers' names, red indicating rookie and so on and so forth, leading all the way up to the coveted black license for the Pro World Championship drivers, like the 3 that are leading the field right now in Conti, Kerwin, and Nichols. But look at Jared Ickes in that 1K radius bounty car, continuing to push Michael Conti. What a drive by Jared. I mean, it's so impressive. A C license doesn't mean squat right now. This dude's wheeling it, and I love it.
It is awesome. I love that. That is just so cool to see. Someone rising up, finding the speed, doing the, putting in the work, going up here and racing with the best in the world. I mean, that guy in front of him, Michael Conti, is a winner in the NASCAR series, and he's right on his bumper and racing toe-to-toe with him. It's awesome.
This was
the experience of a lifetime.
This was an open entry event. I mean, we accepted all entries. There was no discrimination on your license, your skill level. We created a structure that you had to earn your way in. Great.
Here comes Ickes.
Outside.
No help, though. Kerwin left him out. He made the move.
He's going to need a little bit more of a push.
He's got Nichols there and Joseph Galata in the outside, the pole sitter. So that outside lane forms up a little bit. He might be okay.
Yeah, and his car looks really stable. I mean, he's getting into the corner really well compared to a lot of these guys. It makes me wonder, being an independent guy, did he build more downforce into his car? Does he have more spoiler than the rest of these guys?
Oh, that's close. That's close as Conti came up the hill a little bit right there. Gosh, that was really close, but Ickes gave him just that little bit extra room, worked through the corner, and seemingly no loss of speed there as they worked across the line again to start lap 51. Ickes out ahead by a half a car over Michael Conti. Fantastic racing, and again, as the tires wear, I think we're going to see this, Parker. These cars on the bottom slide up more and more. They just don't have the grip to keep it down there.
And especially off of turn 4, we've seen that be a trouble spot throughout the prelims, throughout qualifying, even single qualifying. We saw guys lose it there, hit the wall, wreck, because it's such a tricky corner when you're trying to hold that bottom lane and the car starts to bounce over those bumps and just lose itself all the way out to the wall. But we're going to approach 20 laps on these tires and possibly our longest green flag run. Oh my gosh, Ickes,
wow. Move! Wow. Not content to sit there and ride behind Jake Nichols. Ickes dodging and weaving, throwing fakies out there as Conti will slide up in front of him. What does Ickes do here? Just sits in line. I mean, again, not patient at all with these moves. They are going for it. They're not just sitting there and riding. I love it. It's aggressive, but it's clean. There's an important difference there. They're not hitting each other, at least not yet.
Yeah, well, it's a thrilling race, and obviously Ickes has a car dialed in right now. The track temp is 108 degrees, Parker, so it is going up. This track is going to get slicker, but I'm very interested in how this rubber and this top groove is kind of getting built in as we get more and more laps. It might favor just running the car up, kind of creating a diamond, as you see Jake Nichols, favoring the top side as the leader right now.
Well, I think that top lane will come in a little bit better, and I think these things will start to settle out as we approach 20 laps. I would have thought by now things would start to spread out. You wouldn't have some of the crazy moves because these tires wear so quickly. But I'm being proven wrong. I've been proven wrong throughout this entire race. So these guys showed up tonight ready to brawl it out at the front, and they're putting on a hell of a show. And you know what? We're the best. Oh, is that Galata in the wall?
It is. Up against it, scraped it just ever so slightly. Got away with it. He's going to lose a bunch of positions as he lost a lot of speed, but he still has a race car under him and no further incident. But yeah, big mistake there for Joseph Galata as we take a look at it here on the replay. And I think he got squeezed up. Yeah.
Ickes, just a little bit of contact there. That's a tremendous drive by Galata not to come back into the field. I mean, that was one of the most common wrecks that we've seen, is bouncing off the wall and just driving back into the field and wiping out 5 or 6 cars. It takes a lot of patience to lift, so that's a good move by Galata, but definitely a heartbreak. You'll have some damage to repair.
We definitely, those two got lucky to get away with it. You can see there on the right side, just at the right front, some of the damage on Galata's car, so he'll try and get that fixed maybe at the first pit stop. We did mention in the Firecracker 200 that you could get away with a little bit of damage and still be fast. You can have a bit of that. We saw Nicholas Morrison, the Firecracker 200, consistently challenge for the front, challenge for the lead with a lot of damage on that race car. So these things are such bricks aerodynamically. A little damage isn't the end of the world like it is maybe in modern day NASCAR.
Yeah.
Brick, that's it.
They are fairly durable.
They're tougher, yeah. We have guys, look at this 25 car there that's crept into the picture for the lead. Who's that guy?
I think I've seen his name before somewhere.
Oh, interesting. I think I have as well. That's only the owner of William Byron Esports and the driver of the 24 car in the NASCAR Cup Series for Hendrick Motorsports.
He knows something about being up front at Daytona, doesn't he?
I think he knows a thing or two. One or two.
He falls in line behind Michael Conti, run down the back straightaway, see what he does with it. Kerwin's going to dump him and go to the bottom to move up in front of Ickes. So again, these guys, they get these runs and they want to take them and see where they can go. When you get that opportunity, you get that momentum through the draft. As Kerwin now slides up into that slot, that is, you got to be really, really aware of what you're working with right there to make that move.
That is so tight. Oh my gosh. Think about this, guys. Michael Conti, what was it? I don't know, 20 laps ago, 30 laps ago, was involved in a wreck with Nathan Lyon down the front stretch. Now he's leading this race. I mean, talk about having this whole race flash before his eyes, and now he's got this thing in command right in the lead.
We got a lead pack of about 27 cars. That's about your lead pack right now, all the way back to Brad Slaughter Jr. in that 27th position is what I would call the lead pack. There's another little pack forming up behind them with some damaged cars and some stragglers as we look back from Garrett Conrath in the number 49 machine. But you know, from that lead pack, they're sort of mixing it up, and everyone else really single file for the most part. As I look through some of the names, Brandon Cattell in the 9th position. Remember, he made that pit stop during the last yellow flag to get 4 tires, worked his way up to the front and settled back into that 9th position as the field will bypass the slower machine on the bottom there. That is Garrett Conrath. So as we saw the leaders go by, everyone back to 2 wide up front, Parker, and it looks wild, but it feels a little more controlled.
It does. It just feels,
they're wrecking in 3 and 4. That's Eddie Kerner up and over on his 2 wheels.
No.
Matt Boossa's around, I think, was the first one. As there's just a Matt. Oh goodness gracious, no me. That was Garrett Conrath, the lapped car. We talked about the field bypassing him, took it to the apron, and that car came back up on track, made the field scatter. And
he runs in the back of Boossa. But this isn't the full story because, Boossa's gonna come back. It's all sorts of carnage, but obviously, as you were saying, something caused them to slow down like that so quickly, which had to be the lap car.
Yeah, I think Conrath was trying to do the right thing, go to the apron to let every bypass, but didn't cut enough speed. The car drifted back up on track and got everyone real nervous. Yeah, and everyone started checking up, and you just can't check up fast enough. Kerner into the back of Boossa. I think Jimmy Mullis was really the one who checked up a lot, not knowing what was about to happen in front of him. And that wiped out a bunch of cars right there. That's unfortunate. Eddie Kerner, the Landon Cassill qualifying challenge winner this year, up and over on 2 wheels on his roof and back over. Not quite he won a couple of times. Not a blowover, more of a grow-over, I guess, as that's tough. You know, lap car trying to do the right thing.
Well, the Ventrac blowover count is we can't seem to dust the darn thing off right now. We get these wrecks and they don't want to blow over. We're going to have to put it up for good measure at some point.
If they come across each other's noses the way that they did starting that wreck earlier, they will get a blowover. So let's see what everybody does. Pit stops. This has got to be 4 tires and fuel for just about everybody.
Yeah, this is 100%. I mean, they went over 20 laps.
They were about 12 to 15 laps away from a pit stop anyways.
They had been out there for about 35 laps or so, those who had not made that pit stop under the previous yellow. So 35 to 40 laps is what they were working on tires, and that's the longest we've seen up to this point. As cars break away, the first off pit road will be Michael Conti, and be Colin Bowden second, David Brown in third, Byron in fourth, and Jared Ickes for that 5th position. Take a look at this again from the perspective of Justin Lisenby as he worked through this through the front straightaway here and see what he saw.
There's John Gorlinski in that bright yellow car on the apron right there. So it's just John Gorlinski there, just sort of going to the apron, trying to spread out a little bit. You could see they were hanging back from the field. Lisenby running the Ventrac car as well, one of our Burton Kligerman esports partners. Great streamer, great guy.
Oh, yeah.
Very talented video artist, I should say, in some respects. Video editor.
Yes.
Very talented.
Oh, man.
Oh!
Wow.
What a move!
Brian, what a move.
Wow.
What a move!
We call that a Moses moment right there for Bob Bryant.
Moses for sure.
That was epic.
Wow.
And
Pretty good right there.
He didn't need any more damage on his car, so that was, Bob needs to. Hopefully, he was able to get some of that damage fixed on pit road. That was from his previous wreck, obviously.
Gosh, that sometimes the seas just part, and you're lucky. I've experienced a few of them myself, and when it works your way, man, you feel untouchable. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, it almost doesn't go your way. So for Bob, yeah, he got lucky there to avoid more damage as the lights go out atop the pace car. And it'll be on 1 to go. But for Bob, that'll get your attention real quick as you go through there.
That will, and that's just a heart-pounding moment. And you go off instinct. People always ask, how do you avoid wrecks, right? How do you guys get through those things? Well, Landon, you know this. You go where your eyes go. So if you're looking at the wreck, if your eyes are pointed at the wreck, you're going to drive into the wreck. But if you try to find the hole and you scan across that wreck back and forth, and find that hole that doesn't have a car, that's where your eyes are going to go. You can avoid that wreck, and that's what Bob Bryant did, and all of instinct.
Yeah, really quick here before we go to green, let's hear from Kim.
Yeah, well, you see Michael Conti out front. He's going to want to stay there. That's because he's got that trimmed out car, and he said it was very, very loose, a handful even in traffic, and so clean air for him, everything. He hopes for patience at the beginning of the race, but I think he's going to need it at the end.
Oh, there you have it. That's interesting. Hey, you know what? I'm okay having my best scenario being out front. But, as we showed in the Firecracker 200, the leader of the race twice got just clobbered in the final lap. So it's definitely going to be tough coming down to the end to be the leader.
Get ready for the restart here. Big green flag back in the air. Michael Conti now leading this thing, Parker, as Bowden, Brown, Byron, and Ickes make up the top 5. Again, almost 3 wide before they even get across the line as they fan out, but Brown's going to pick up Conti and push him along.
Yeah, Bowden shot to the outside, trying to get a run out there. He's got no help right now. I don't think that will quite work out for him. Michael Conti talking about wanting to be in the lead. That reminds me of a crew chief who one time said, we don't build them to wreck. You got to get out front and stay there. That was one of the messages he said my way, and I think that's the situation Michael Conti's in. He didn't build that car to run in second place. He built it to lead and try to win this race. As Bowden gets a little help there from Cassill, and now maybe make a run off the turn 3.
Oh,
whoa,
boy.
Sideways for Bowden.
He was real.
Man, that's the second time that we found these guys on new tires, cold tires, low air pressures, and these cars are a handful.
He was squirming for sure.
I'm just saying. Well, and that's what, we saw Bob Bryant lose his car from the high side on low air.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Does need a couple laps to come in.
Again, 2x2 all the way through, and that's going to be Cassill on the high side, trying to take that lead away by himself from Colin Bowden as they even out through 3 and 4. Conti there in third. Jared Ickes, the second car on the high side, as Conti will now move up there behind Cassill to push him along. So again, it's we see these drivers swapping around positions. Nobody really seems to be locked on to one another exclusively. Sort of seems to be you find your friends where they may lie, and you take the runs where they come. We get a tweet from
coming in.
Yeah,
coming in with a report. Yeah, thanks for the help there, Richmond. Looks like Jimmy Mullis is pretty comfortable with his car. Feels like he's faster, just kind of chilling.
No, not faster. He's so much faster. That's a big difference.
So much faster.
That's when you have serious confidence in that beautiful Coca-Cola machine, I might add. That thing, he runs that a lot in these 1987 cars all over the place. We did a race with him a couple weeks ago where he ran that car, and I was kind of in awe of how awesome it looks. So, great throwback scheme there.
Shout out to Steelhorst in the Twitch chat who just said that Mullis is an absolute unit. Always good to identify units in the field.
If we're going to talk chats right now, the Facebook chat has been pretty active tonight. I've been in there the whole time. If you're watching on Facebook, we just had Kyle Knapp saying, "Go Brad Slaughter Jr., go win this." And I believe Brad Slaughter Jr. is in 29th right now, so he's got some work to do if Kyle Knapp wants to get his wish.
And obviously in the Twitch chat, I'm over in the Twitch chat hanging out. Looks like the E-Racer website is loading for me, so hopefully you guys can get back and check out the giveaway. That's !winner winner. Obviously, buyinfra.com. Use your promo code E-Racer, and hopefully some of you have gotten a gifted sub from our friends at Blue Emu, who have been dropping some massive subs in the chat tonight.
You gotta love the confidence of Jimmy Mullis. That's bad news for the rest of the field.
Guys, we got 3 wide down the backstretch here, I believe. That's Bowden. Went to the bottom. William Byron in the center. Cassill takes the lead through that. They sorted it out and get 2 wide, but Byron had the inside. He got to the inside, was getting the momentum on Cassill, and then Bowden dipped out from behind him, went to the inside below the yellow line, which we should mention, and I don't think we've really gotten into this. That is legal. 1987, it was legal. There was no yellow line. Don't even look at it. That's just a suggestion. That's just a mark on the track. It doesn't mean anything here. We allow you to race all over this racetrack. If there's asphalt and you can run on it, go ahead, be our guest. So you can go below the yellow line, but it is risky when you do that, and Bowden took that risk to try and get the lead.
I'm looking at Byron pushing Cassill along down the back straightaway. Byron was locked onto the back bumper of that number 14 Barstool Sports machine, and Cassill, it was wiggling. It did not seem very stable. We've talked about that a few times, how when you get right up under somebody's rear spoiler, it really unsettles that car. And for Cassill, he was holding on for dear life. Didn't lift, but it did not seem planted. Byron seemed a lot more planted, even with Michael Conti up under his rear bumper. So perhaps a little more downforce in that number 25 Logitech machine for Byron. But again, Cassill up on the high side. Byron lower than that. Is there going to be 3 wide? Cassill not holding the line that Byron wants, and that's going to get real interesting. They're 3 wide down the back straightaway. So here comes Seth the Merchant. We haven't talked about Seth the Merchant all night, and now he finds himself in the top 5.
Wild. We actually saw Cassill sort of bowed out there when he got shoved 3 wide. He started to think better of it, I think, on the outside lane, was trying his best to sort of shuffle back to get 2 wide. It just looked a little risky. This is getting really tight at the front. As you mentioned, DeMerchant, they're in another one of those Ventrac cars. I think we got all 3 Ventrac cars up here in the top 10. Excellent showing for Team Ventrac.
That's right. Don't forget our boy Jared Ickes back in the lead. I mean, aggressive driving is paying off tonight. I mean, you know, why not, right? These guys, they can race each other all the time, these pro drivers. You know, if you're Jared Ickes, how often do you get to race Jake Nichols and Casey Kerwin, Michael Conti? You know what? To heck with them. Let's go.
Take advantage of the opportunity. Jared Ickes really doing that himself, making a name for himself here as we complete lap 69, start lap 70. So getting closer and closer to that halfway point of this race.
Nice.
Certainly seen some trends breaking out, but some new names emerging into the top 10. Seth the Merchant in that 3rd position, the first one that comes to mind. And remember, Seth started back in the 14th position. A well-established winner when it comes to big events, Podium Esports, Daytona 500 winner. And just always shows up, but here he is, lap 70, fighting for the lead to take it away from Ickes as they work into 3.
Seth Merchant there. Wow. Oh, Ickes.
Oh, Ickes.
He had to back off. Yeah, it got real loose there. You see the cars behind that.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That's Bowden around who got hit by Ickes. More cars in the infield. And that's another, that's one more car involved. That's going to be Justin Lisenby. Nowhere to go. Gets into Bowden here right at the flag stand. We're going to be under the yellow flag one more time. And that was absolutely awful set of circumstances there. And it all started, unfortunately, with Jared Ickes working his way up the hill. Tried to bring it away from that wall, but just couldn't miss it. Gets sent around by Jake Nichols into Colin Bowden, and it was on from there.
Gotta lift. This is right what I said. You gotta lift.
Right, and it's that turn 4. It's the nemesis of all these drivers in this field. Oh wow, yeah, you saw there Bowden just got into Lisenby. Unfortunate. Felt like they kept it pretty clean, only getting 2 cars involved. And then it looked like just one more got involved there. Kyle Putz with a great avoidance throughout that.
Yeah, Brian Blackford as well.
That's unfortunate. You know, there's a lot of room to run through there, especially down through the grass. in the infield. But we look at this from Jake Nichols' perspective. He's really just sort of along for the ride, hoping that Ickes can get off the corner. You don't expect him to get up into the wall and unfortunately nowhere to go, and runs into him and sets off that chain of events. But everyone's going to be coming down pit road now, guys. Another run on tires complete. And so everyone will come down and get service here. I don't expect to see 2 tires. We saw it done once by Michael Conti. They can't take 2 tires here. They got to go with 4, right?
Oh, 100%. This is going to be 4 tires. Yeah. Guarantee it. If you're taking 2 tires here, you're taking a big risk. Probably too early for that, for 2 tires. It just, I don't know about that one. But, yeah, we're going to see the whole field that's on the lead lap coming down here. They're going to get 4 tires. They're going to get those all the grip they can inside those race cars, and hopefully be able to use that. Oh, wait a second. I might have spoke too soon.
Not so fast.
Yeah.
There's a few takers, huh?
There might have been.
Not so fast. Look who's snacking off pit road. Haven't talked about him yet. Mentioned his name, Michael Guest, for Team Dillon Esports.
That might even be fuel only, I think.
That was a fast stop.
I mean, are you just it's just that track position. They want track position, Parker. You know, get in front. Even though the leaders have caused how many wrecks tonight? 2, 3?
Well, it shows what I know is apparently very evident right off the bat. Because I was pretty confident in my analysis there of nothing other than 4 tires. And then I might have been wrong. We'll have to get some confirmation. Maybe we can get some confirmation from the pits. What Michael Guest actually did in the pits there.
I took a look at it. I saw the right side and the left side go up on that race car.
So maybe just a super fast stop? Has he got the one of the fastest crews in all of iRacing there?
Yeah, I see on unofficially a 20.3 for Michael Guest, and everyone else was 21s, 22s, and 23s in front of him.
Wow.
So
I think that's just a fast stop. I think
that's a very fast stop.
Yeah,
I think that's got to be 4 tires. It's just fast.
Definitely.
It was. Yeah.
Well, maybe he had his pit crew, talking to the 1987 Wood Brothers crew or something like that this time, because they obviously took some notes
around the car.
Yeah, there's definitely a jack swinging all over that place there. He's got probably, the guys with the just the sunglasses on, no helmet, running around the car, jeans and a t-shirt.
Smoking a cigarette, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. So whoever they are, I mean, they were on it. They definitely deserve a real pat on the back for getting that fast of a stop together.
Well, chat, what do we got? Twitch chat. Oh, let's hear from Kim real quick. I think we got a report from Kim.
Yeah, because we just made some pit stops, and some people might be wondering why the pit stops seem a little slower, because typically a current iRacing pit stop is anywhere between 12 and 14 seconds. These seem to be taking a little bit longer, especially for those 4-tire stops we're seeing all night long. That's because it's replicating the 1987 pit stop. So back then, quite a bit slower than modern day. So we're looking anywhere from 19 to 25-second 4-tire stops here this evening.
Thanks,
Good
Kim.
info. Thank you.
Might I add that of all the races I've done with this 1987 car, and Steve Myers, I hope you're watching, I have not gotten a faster pit stop in that 20-second range. I would love to know how. I would love to know how to get one. As we're running through David Brown with a 22.2, it looks like Casey Kerwin had a decent pit stop, Brandon Cattell at a 23 flat. So there's definitely some variance. Brian Blackford had a great pit stop at 20.2.
Landon, I can help you out. That's all user error. That's
it is.
What I'm gonna say.
Well, green flag back in the air here, boys. We got a lapped car out in front of everybody here. Garrett Conrath leading the field effectively in the 37th position at the tail end of the lead lap. He's going to get down, get out of the way, and let everyone roll on. But yeah, hopefully a much better experience for him keeping that car on the apron as everyone gets back up to speed. But new player up there at that front. We talked about him, that great pit stop. Michael Guest, first car in the outside lane. We'll see what he can do.
He's going to try and show some of the speed. Maybe he's been holding back throughout this race. Now that he has a track position, go up there and see what it's like. But, hopefully he's not surprised when he gets that clean air as the handling of that car. Gets a little loose into 3. He's got Seth DeMerchant right on his tail there. And we've heard about Conti, who wanted to be in the lead. Let's hope Michael Guest feels the same way about his car and doesn't get shocked when he gets that clean air on the nose.
Whoa, sideways for Guest out in front. right along with David Brown. You know, just looking at David Brown's in-car there makes me nervous. Seeing that 2x2x2 in front of you, cars sliding around, I don't know if I want to be that close to the pack unless I'm racing for the lead. That's the only comfortable place I want to be. You know, that 7th is a little awkward right now. I mean, looking at that spot right there, I mean, there's just nowhere to go.
Landon, let's take a ride on board David Brown. I just want to listen to this, show people what they're going through, the bumps, these cars moving around. He's got a great view of that front pack.
Four laps away from the halfway point of the Firecracker 400, and it is Seth the Merchant out in front leading this field. Michael Guest second. Byron, Conti, Kerwin, Cattell, Brown, Minter, Hurley, and Mullis make up the rest of the top 10. We've seen quite a bit of racing action up here, boys, as now Michael Guest will work to the outside of Seth the Merchant down the back straightaway, trying to get that push from William Byron. We've seen so many new names emerge here. So many guys lead this field, but a lot of the same have been up there at the front as well. So it almost, you would look at it and say, gosh, it looks like they're all in the same type of setup. But we know that's not the case. I think they're just that good at making these setups.
They are, and we actually, just down the backstretch there, a little bit further outside this top 10, I also saw Brian Blackford in that NASCAR Hall of Fame car get real sideways, go all the way to the apron down the backstretch, almost to the grass, got it gathered up and got back in line safely. So good save by him. We watched William Byron hound Michael Guest right on his rear bumper, and you brought it up, David. You know, they look like they're all possibly running the same setup, right? They're all running the same thing, but they're not. I mean, these are up to them. They're all running different setups, different spoil angles, tire pressures, everything's different, but this is just how close these drivers and the crews they work with get these things to each other, which is they all sort of know what they want inside that race car, find the right feel for them, and it all kind of equals out to be the same speed. And the draft, of course. That
yes,
helps.
The great equalizer, the draft. I see Twitch chats talking about pizza rolls. I'm hungry, man. Please.
Somebody said pizza rolls. Let's take a look at Blackford first, and then I'm going to talk about pizza rolls. He's in a 32 Hall of Fame machine right there, that Ford Thunderbird. And clocked the apron just a little bit. You know, Brian's as good as anybody at keeping his car out of trouble. And just out of the corner of the screen, we saw his teammate Kyle Putz as well. So obviously they're working together. And the chat is going back into Blue Emu just brought up pizza rolls versus Hot Pockets. I have a hard time with that one. I think I'm a pizza rolls guy, and we have pizza rolls in the freezer. So, honey, if you're listening, maybe put some in for me.
Oh, brother. You know, you guys got it so good. Goodness gracious.
William Byron taking commanding lead of this as you guys get all about pizza rolls, guys. I got my eyes on the racetrack here. William Byron leading some of his first laps of the night. This is, I've been waiting for this. He looks so strong. He could run second, third, fourth in a pack, and he could just, you know, hound the car in front of him. That car just looked so stable, so good. And here he is now commanding lead on this field.
As we cross the halfway point of the Firecracker 400, it is William Byron out in front of the field over Michael Guest, Michael Conti, Seth the Merchant, Brandon Cattell, Casey Kerwin, Jimmy Mullis, Jordan Hurley, David Brown, and Tucker Minter, the rest of the top 10. It's been fantastic racing action up to this point, boys. We've had a few wrecks, a few big names out of this race, guys like Colin Keister, Malik Ray, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Nathan Lyon, all drivers. We expected to have great runs here and possibly be threats to win. Out of the event, the field has been thinned out a little bit. Parker, I'll start with you. As we work past the halfway point, what's the big thing that has jumped out to you so far in this race?
Big thing that jumped out to me, I would say the pack racing. I think, as we get past halfway here, I've been really shocked by the pack racing. We have just not seen that, Landon, throughout the prelims. Really in the 200, we saw an element of it, but they started to get spread out a little bit more. But what I think we're seeing here is that obviously these top 43 that started this race were the top 43 for a reason. They're some of the best in iRacing, some of the best in the world, like William Byron and Dale Earnhardt Jr., and they came very prepared with some really good setups, very thought out setups, and knew exactly how to drive them. That's what we're seeing here tonight, where they are pushing these cars to the absolute limit, lap after lap, but they're so comfortable doing it, and they know how to make these things comfortable doing that they're able to run side by side like this for so long.
Yeah, and I mean, they're making aggressive moves, but the track temp is only going up. It's 113 right now, Parker. So it's I don't know. I mean, I think the pack racing is going to be here to stay, but I do want to see what these cars look like with 30 laps on their tires.
We'd only seen it really once tonight. Some of the cars making that long of a run on the tires, and they were slipping and sliding. I mean, they were really struggling to hold on to those things. But that's why they're the best in the business. That's why they're up at the front of this field again, 2 by 2, all the way throughout the top 10. A little contact there I saw briefly between Jordan Hurley and Tucker Minter just around that top 10 position. Haven't talked about Jordan Hurley a whole lot yet in that Union 76 machine. Sharp looking car, and now finds himself on the outside of that top 10.
Pair of those Ventrac cars there. Our pole sitter Joseph Galata right there on the back. The Ventrac car of Tucker Minter. Great looking car right there. Tucker Minter said he put a lot of work into the setup here. Was very nervous about Rex. Thought he had to keep the nose clean here tonight. Joseph Galata, man, he's an interesting story. He's releasing music around this race, and that's what's on his hood, I believe, is his album, right?
Makes sense. A little self-promotion. We're all about it,
Yeah.
right? You guys, I mean, we're not going to say no to self-promotion here when you're in a race like this. Come on.
Oh, why not? Big viewership out there. We should mention this is definitely the biggest viewership we've seen throughout the entirety of the Fireweeks and the Firecracker 400. Thank you all for tuning in across Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all over the internet. We appreciate having you, and hopefully you'll return for more e-racer events in the future. But this one's just heating up, guys.
Another report from Richmond Raceway.
They're at it again. I'll give them credit. Richmond Raceway Esports does a great job on social media. Don't think the late 1980s, early 1990s camera angles are going unnoticed, guys. It's a thing of beauty. Thank you, Richmond Raceway Esports.
Hey,
thank you.
That's amazing.
Our whole production team, Ryan Bauer and company. Thank you very much. I appreciate you noticing that, Richmond.
Yeah, that's awesome. Richard, you said it. They do an incredible job on social media. They push teams like mine, Burton Kligerman Esports, to be better on social media, to one up the game a little bit every now and then. We like to banter back and forth, but they do an incredible job, and very keen eye over there. Apparently, I was waiting for someone to sort of comment on that, and our production crew has done a great job with that.
Yeah, look at Brian Blackford here again, that NASCAR Hall of Fame paint scheme on that car. Blackford, who's we've seen up and down in this field. He had that great save, now currently scored in the 16th position after starting 7th. That Thunderbird looking pretty clean overall, I would say. So despite the little slip up that he had, he held on to it, and that car is in good shape as we look at other drivers throughout this field. Will Cooley there in the 00, the INFRA machine, with a good, solid, clean run. Stayed pretty quiet. A little damage to the front end, but nothing that's going to hurt him a whole bunch as he's in that 18th spot. Tony Ball, another big name. That man had a more, name a driver with a more nerve-wracking qualifying 2 nights than Tony Ball. I'll tell you, he thought he was in, then he was out, then he was in, and had to sweat through a whole bunch of guys. But he's in the 400 in that Gatorade machine, Parker. Tony Ball looking good.
That's a wonderful looking machine. Tony Ball's got crazy story. He wanted to let everyone know out there to never give up. It's just a couple years ago he was going through some tough times in life, and now has found himself buying his first house just recently, moving into it right as he was getting ready to do this race. So big moments for Tony Ball. Great story of a young man with a lot of determination, and was super excited to be a part of this race. Just loves racing and loved the opportunity to be in the Firecracker 400.
What was that suit that he's wearing? What was that?
Is that Gucci? Or Landon would know this better.
That is Gucci, yeah.
It's Gucci. I was right. Look at me. My sister would be so proud.
If you're looking for a driver big on personality to cheer for, I think Tony Ball is your guy. Anyone who shows up in a fire suit looking like that, that's a guy who likes to have fun. I love it.
That's like still fly right there. Gator boots, the pimped out Gucci suit.
Incredible. I mean, that is special right there. Very special.
I actually, you know what? I just saw everybody in the stands just went to Tony Ball's t-shirt trailer.
Yeah.
I think he just picked up a lot of fans with that Gucci suit.
Understandable. 100%. I mean, the suit might cost more than the car, you know? I mean, come on. I'd have to question its ability to be fire retardant, but it looks good.
Tight racing for the lead. Sorry, we're getting back to the action. It's Casey Kerwin on the inside. Just pushing Cattell.
John Gorlinski, guys, running that Dayglow scheme. He's a real OG of sim racing. Been around forever, seems like, in the sim racing realm. Loves running those Dayglow cars. Had a great video in our pre-race with his newborn child. Was it? I couldn't see if it was a daughter or son.
Newborn.
Was it not newborn? Well, you know kids better than me.
It was his daughter, and she was able to give us a number one.
That's right.
To go, yeah, but he.
Well, they're all newborns to me, to be honest. So
there you go.
John does have a newborn, a 5-week-old at home. So shout out to his wife for letting him train and race and practice. Obviously, he's an eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series driver. So the Gorlinski family, big supporters of sim racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Gorlinski's been a staple in the sim racing community for a long time. As long as I've been in the community, I've known the name John Gorlinski. So he's still continuing to do great things. As I see the Ventrac cars are paired together on that top side, Parker. DeMerchant and Minter, the two Ventrac cars right there inside the top 10, just sort of hanging out, man. You think they're talking to each other saying, hey, let's try and work together.
Team Ventrac running different manufacturers there. Maybe they're trying to see which one's better. It looks like the Ford maybe a little better leading right now. I'm just making a joke. I should mention they're all pretty equal, but I love to see that. It's pretty cool. I'm not sure they planned this, or they could have planned it out better than to see those two Ventrac cars up front. It's good because we haven't been able to get the Ventrac blowover counter out there, so we're making sure that some of their racers are getting some love at the front of the field until we can get that blowover count to raise up one or two.
Now, here's the real question. We took a poll back during the prelim races, Landon. Does anybody screen cap or archive the results of that poll of how many blowovers we were going to get during the entirety of the Fireweeks and the Firecracker events?
It's got to be somewhere.
Guys.
I don't remember what.
Oh, no, the leaders have all wrecked.
We got a big one.
Michael Guest, Brandon Cattell's around in the grass. Cattell, Guest, Jimmy Mullis is in the grass as well, along with others, as absolute chaos broke out there. And we're under another yellow flag. What in the world happened here as Cattell goes up into the path of Michael Conti right across the start-finish line. We'll look at the replay here, but right up front, Cattell up off the bottom and across the nose of Michael Conti, and it was on from there. Everybody involved. No blowovers, but a lot of leaders wrecked right there.
Oh, that was look, Cattell just tried to clear himself in front of Conti there to protect the outside.
Wow.
Or slid up a little bit, man.
I think he slid up. I really think so. These cars are so tough through the tribal, and they just get worse and worse every lap. They get so loose. If you go on board with Brian Blackford to take a look at this, what he's going to see ahead of him, I just think Cattell slid up a little too far, a little further than he thought he was. Just got that sort of attachment to Conti. That was a great move. He got that attachment to Conti, and when you do that, there's no stopping it. You're going to go in the wall like that. Guys, William Byron, I mean, the seas parted for him right there. That was almost day done.
Heartbreaker for Jimmy Mullis right here. Heavy contact front end. That's going to end the day of a handful of these front runners. I mean, this really is proving to be an attrition race.
Yeah, that's just nowhere to go. For Michael Conti, you feel for him. I mean, we talked about him, had all that speed, built to be out front, led a lot of this race. As we look at this from William Byron, you talk about the seas parting, another Moses moment right there for William Byron. My goodness. another big blow up front. And that wipes out, like you're saying, a lot of names as we look at Blackford get through all that. Just when these wrecks break out in the front of the field, guys, your options are limited of where you can go.
It is.
Wow.
And we saw this, in almost every race, even the leaders, maybe because sometimes they're racing the most intense of anyone, where they're up front and they're jockeying position side by side, and eventually just time and the amount of chances you can take runs out, as we see majority of the field, if not the entire field, coming down pit road. See if anyone can get one of those sub 20-second stops that Landon can never get, and take the lead of this thing.
Well, they're at 65 laps to go. I mean, that's good enough for one stop, Parker. So we'll see who wins the race off of pit road here. Jake Nichols looks like he had a pretty good pit stop. And let's take a look at another Hall of Fame clip from Winston real quick.
Even the way drivers were introduced can be considered a NASCAR Hall of Fame historic moment, as the starting lineup of the 1986 Firecracker 400 featured 10 drivers who were inductees, as 3 of them had quite the introduction in the pre-race broadcast.
Dale Earnhardt, he's the tough guy, mean and feared, and he likes it that way. Today, he starts from 5th place. Or how about Darrell Waldron, current national champion? Typecast is brash and outspoken, while off camera he shows a softer side. After blowing an engine in practice, he'll start 23rd. Bill Elliott, last year's leading man with win after win. This year, he seemed to have mislaid the script until suddenly he won big 3 weeks ago. Today, he starts 2nd.
So that's one of my favorite clips that we have throughout this whole event, and it's just the way they describe those couple Hall of Famer drivers, and the images of them, and just, I don't know, there's so much nostalgia in those, even though I wasn't alive then, right, guys? I just think I love you and I both love the motorsports history, out there, and those clips just bring it all back to stuff that you watch all the time on YouTube, and you think, it'd be so cool to know more about that, and then you see clips like that, and you just, it's so cool.
Yeah. Kim, what do you got for us?
Well, a lot of these drivers are probably breathing a sigh of relief with this caution, because we were about 10 to 15 laps away from what would have been green flag pit stops if we hadn't gotten this caution. And the drivers have actually not practiced green flag pit stops here with these setups, and they have to get the car slowed down much sooner because of the tire wear. And so, again, breathing a sigh of relief, but something to look forward to in the next 60 laps as we close in on the finish of this race. If we continue to go green, remember the fuel window mid to high 30s, so about 37 laps. And these drivers have no idea what their cars are going to do. So if we do have green flag pit stops in the second half of the race, look for possibly a number of speeding penalties.
Speeding penalties, as they're kind of pushing the issue, Parker. That could be interesting. I don't know if we got one stop left in us. I don't know if you want a speeding penalty on your last pit stop.
Yeah,
No, you don't.
that would hurt everything. Hey, Joshua Weatherman, I like that tweet. I agree. This race has been incredible.
It has been absolutely incredible as we get set for another restart here. Casey Kerwin now, your leader, is will ride on board with Kyle Putz with the Blue Emu on board. Cam, Big Green Egg, green flag back in the air. Kerwin back up through the gears, leading Nichols, Minter, Byron. Adam Gordon, haven't talked about Adam Gordon yet, now in the 5th position. Putz there in 6th. A lot of Blackford, LaPrade, and Brad Slaughter Jr. make up the top 10 as they get up to speed. And that's that lapped car again of Garrett Conrath on the bottom, trying to stay out of the way as these guys get up through the gears.
William Byron with a move to the outside there.
He is making a great move, and Facebook chat is going to go wild here, seeing Brad Slaughter Jr. enter the top 10. Seems to be a very popular driver on Facebook chat for a reason. He's told all his friends and family to be on there, or all his fans, apparently. So there's a lot of interested parties in the Facebook chat rooting for Brad Slaughter Jr., who's getting in that top 10.
The field is kind of thinning out. We've had some more incidents. John Gorlinski before the race told me he expects 15 cars left at the end of this thing. Are we on track for that? What do you think, Parker?
Ooh, 15? That's it?
I think we're going to have more than 15. I think there's going to be more. That's what John Gorlinski said.
Hey, wait! Our fearless leader has allowed us to take our jackets off. I think it's time.
Is that right?
Jackets off.
Oh man,
jackets off time.
We're past the halfway point.
Yeah.
Jackets off.
It's time to buckle down, just like these drivers. Get into the nitty gritty of this thing.
Wow,
we're about to come down to crunch time.
It's that arm fatigue from the jackets.
It's the arm fatigue. I love it.
Yeah, I'm looking through the running order right now. Keep an eye on these guys to make sure nothing weird happens. Eric Smith, haven't talked about Eric yet tonight in the Big Green Egg Machine. Of course, they're sponsoring the green flag, but they sponsor the race car as well. Eric Smith in that 12th position right now, number 9. Looking 3 wide here to go 3 wide with Will Cooley. Gets the pass done, so put Eric Smith up in that 10th spot as he takes 2 for 1 right there. Eric Smith, another eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, working his way now up into the top 10. He's got his sights locked onto the back bumper of Briar LaPrade.
Again, William Byron, he gets to the lead, but it seems like he has a long-run car because he hangs around the top 5 early on. He's strong early on, but it seems like there's other cars. Maybe they're just more willing to take risk. I don't know what it is, but once we get late in the run, he really comes online. I've seen it twice now where he really looks to be a little stronger than the cars around him, and that's later on when the tires have wore down. So I'll be wondering if he's been making changes, maybe some air pressure adjustments, something inside that race car, working with his team, try and figure out how he can make that thing a little better on the short run.
Hey, I want to talk about William for a second because, this is a guy that, by the way, 3 years ago today won the 2017 NASCAR Xfinity Series Firecracker 250. He's a 2019 Daytona 500 pole winner. He won the NASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational Series races. And he's obviously regarded as one of the best iRacers on the service. But as a pro driver, he doesn't get a chance to race against these drivers, these pro drivers, on this type of stage very often. I mean, certainly he races with them a lot in open sets and fixed races, official races. But on a broadcast race like this, Parker, you think William Byron is actually kind of someone with something to prove tonight?
He is, because in a lot, he proved in the Pro Invitationals. He's the best real racer that's an iRacer, right? Of our group, yeah. He was better than us, let's be honest. He kicked our butts. So, hey, look, he was good. But I don't think he's someone that we've said, and I think you and I have had this conversation where we believe if he was one of those drivers that was able to make it to the eNASCAR series, he would be one of the top drivers there. That's how good he is on iRacing. And he proves it in A fixed and maybe A open races, NIS, whatever, on the service. But as you said, he doesn't get to do it on a big stage. There's money up for grabs, $2,000 to win this race here tonight. He doesn't always get that opportunity, and tonight he's risen up. And I should say, that car is looking a little stronger on the short run, and his crew chief is none other than his driver, one of his drivers in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, Nick Ottinger, who is quite the setup specialist and works with William throughout all these events, and obviously it got that thing tuned up for the short run because he went straight to the lead after I said that.
Cars flying. That's having Ott on the box, not a bad thing to have. What's over? Look at Casey Kerwin. Big top to bottom move right there down the back straightaway to take the lead back from William Byron. Breathtaking maneuver right there from the Denny Hamlin Racing drivers. They're side by side for the lead. That was good.
That was awesome.
William is sideways up the third floor. Big save.
Oh, man. They're going at it.
Takes your breath away when you see those big moves like that.
Really does. It's just, and I can't get over, guys. You watch these cars enter the corner lap after lap, corner after corner, sideways. We get a look. This move by Casey Kerwin. He's up top, and then he's going to shoot low, down below the yellow line, take that momentum, go for the lead.
That's why he's a pro driver. That's, that's great.
These guys have not let up, David. I mean,
no.
And yeah, I mean, we've had incidents. The leaders have wrecked several times. It thins out 3 or 4 cars at a time. You know what I've noticed with this caliber of driver, they're even better at missing wrecks. You know, the wrecks aren't as big. I don't know if they're better with the brakes. They're better picking a line on these wrecks.
Ooh. As you're saying that, William Byron looked like he was really struggling with that car. Yeah, about to wreck.
That was tense moments right there. I got all of our attention, I think, as you heard all of us take a collective gasp as William Byron was really hustling that thing around the exit of turn 2. We've seen that go wrong on the exit of these corners for these guys. It's been about 10 laps since they've been down pit road. We're a little bit later in the day, about quarter till noon right now in Daytona Beach. So again, track getting hotter. Cars are getting a little bit harder to handle as things get slicker. But this fight for the lead continues between Kerwin and Byron. That's our pole sitter, Joseph Galata, leading, or pushing, I should say, our leader in William Byron. So don't forget about Galata. He's been up there pretty much this entire event.
He had, remember, he hit the wall off of, what was it, turn 4 there?
That's right.
Got in the wall and damaged the right side of that car pretty significantly. You still see it there on the right front a little bit. Fell way back and now has found himself all the way back to the front. And we mentioned you can have a little damage in these cars. They're bricks. And Casey Kerwin,
man,
gets so close to Galata. That was nuts. But you can get away with that damage. And look at that thing. He's right there in the front, fighting for the lead. Right side basically tore off.
Man, it's
don't need it.
119 degree track temp now. So I think we're really starting to see this track get slicker and slicker on these drivers.
It's so impressive. They could stay in this pack as here comes Eric Smith 3 wide for about the 6th position going underneath Adam Gordon. There's contact. Gordon up into the front. That's going to be a big one right there. They're all around in 3 and 4. Adam Gordon around. They're crashing further up on the banking, collecting more cars. Kevin McAdams is involved. Cattell's involved once again. Will Cooley's caught up in this. Kane Cook, along with a few other cars as well. And that was a 3 wide move by Eric Smith initiating the contact with Adam Gordon, and it sent off a grenade right there in the middle of the pack. Just going for it.
It's an aggressive move, wanting to get up into that pack.
So, guys, this is
just going for it. I mean, we're getting close to 50 laps to go. He had a run, and maybe it's just because we're so late into the run or the track's getting hotter. That car just does not stay on the bottom. And that right rear to left front contact with Adam Gordon, nowhere to go for Gordon up into LaPrade, who got absolutely, blindsided there and collects a whole bunch more cars.
This is the interesting note now. We've got about a little over 50 laps to go, so they can pit here, but they cannot make it to the end, Parker. So we will still need another pit stop to get to the end.
Interesting. Well,
52 to go, I'd say.
I think most will pit. You'll definitely pit, but
you're gonna want tires.
You're gonna want those tires.
We saw Lisenby caught up in that one. David Brown was caught up in that one as everybody works their way down pit road now. Wow, that was a wild ride. That's another big wreck. Do want to report while these guys take their service, Zane Scott out of this event, Jared Ickes out of this event as well. So that leaves 36 cars on the lead lap. We'll see how this shakes out after this most recent event, if there's any retirements after this one. But the field getting whittled down little bit by little bit as these wrecks continue. That's only going to make that case stronger for 15 is Seth the Merchant. Boys, that's going to be the first driver off the pit road there. Had himself a good little stop. That's a 2-tire stop for Seth the Merchant. Only 11.7 on the clock.
I think that's a good move.
Yeah,
I think that's a smart move, David. I mean, this is kind of a short spot as we're on board with Mola, so he had a good view of this wreck.
Oh my gosh, watch this.
Oh, that is.
I thought that was going to close up. I was watching that thinking, there's no way. There's no way.
Go high.
No, those C's weren't going to
keep those cars up there. You want to see guys try to keep the car up against the wall if that's where they are, but these steep bankings, it's so hard to do that.
South cleaning racetrack. I mean, we fight the same thing in real life. So you see a wreck Yeah, Daytona, and it's hard to go low, it's hard to go high, because sometimes you see a car that's high and you're thinking, all right, he's going to stay up there, but what you don't realize is he's knocked off all four corners on that car and he's sliding on the chassis down the racetrack, and then he slides right into you. So it's entirely unpredictable where a car's going to go at Daytona a lot of times.
So DeMerchant out front with 2 tires, which, by the way, DeMerchant was one of my picks, one of my favorites all week. He won a ton of the practice races. I'll take him. He won a ton of the practice races.
First time hearing of this. Convenient timing.
He dominated his prelim race. Obviously had the qualifying speed, so he's in a good position. Like I said, this is a short cycle right here. We're not 50 laps to go. Still need to make a pit stop. We've only got about 35. You could push 37 laps of fuel. So, could see a green flag stop, maybe a gas and go if we make it green to the end. But obviously the race hasn't been trending that way.
Well, this is a good time with him leading to give a shout out to Ventrac for coming on board for this event. We haven't been able to use the blowover count at all in this one because there hasn't been any blowovers. Unfortunately,
what is the blowover count though?
It's only at 4. It's only at 4. So I'm just gonna say, if you're in the Twitch chat, you can do !blowover and get brought to the Ventrac website if you want to check out one of the leading construction procurement services in the United States. They make it very fast and easy to get construction jobs done. So if you're wondering what they do, they're in the construction space, and you can go check them out using that hashtag or !blowover. Oh yeah, that's right. We're at 6. We added 2 on the Firecracker 200. Forgot about that.
Yeah. 2 for Monday. Landon, bad news for you. The wife says that's a no-go on pizza rolls.
Oh, honey. Let me fix
Unfortunate.
that blowover. Its blowover count is the blowover counter. Let me get blowover.
Well,
it's okay.
You're all things Twitch. I leave that up to you.
Here we go. Big green egg, green flag back in the air. Seth DeMerchant leading Byron, Minter, Galata, Nichols as they get up to speed again. 3 wide, a little bit further back. That's Gorlinski and the 54 Christian Peterson. Haven't talked about CP yet tonight. That was splitting the 7 of Kyle Putz on the restart there. So interesting to see as the laps wind down. Christian Peterson, who has stayed quiet the entire event, now slowly creeping his way into the picture.
Merchant falling back there.
It's 2 tires that are struggling.
Yeah, well, he's starting to shoot back again on the bottom. We'll see if this holds up. He's even got that little bit of right side damage, but as we've seen, that damage doesn't slow you down too bad.
Can report under that yellow flag, definitely a difference of opinion amongst the drivers involved in that crash as to what went wrong. A lot of drivers who weren't happy about the move made by Eric Smith. Eric defended his move, saying, it's racing and he'd made that move work before, and that's just you got to go for it and make those moves to make things work. So, depending on which side of that you were on, you're either going to like it or hate it, and so these drivers definitely have the ability to talk to each other in real time, and that's some of the best entertainment. So anything that pops out to me, I'll definitely report on, but certainly some unhappy drivers. We got a pair of Ventrac cars stalking William Byron.
Oh, they're sliding all over the place. I can't get over that shot when they're sliding around and they're just sideways in the corners through the tri-oval. It's awesome to watch as these 2 Ventrac cars stalk William Byron, trying to take advantage of that old Logitech logo there up front. He's going to try and control both lanes. We've seen William Byron do this in real life. He loves to try and control both lanes. Does it there, goes to the top, to the bottom, then to the top and back to the bottom again. Basically using some of that real life experience. Maybe that'll pay off. Maybe we just haven't seen anyone do it who has the experience that he has in terms of controlling lanes, because we haven't seen it work too well yet throughout this event.
I like Landon pleading his case in chat for pizza rolls. I like that.
Sorry, I've been trying to convince my wife to put in those pizza rolls in the chat. Track temp up to 120, by the way. It's almost noon in Daytona, so drivers getting antsy. Maybe time to go to the beach here pretty soon.
I'll head down to the beach.
Car repaired from earlier incidents.
Up in the 13th spot. Yeah, AJ Henderson there. The Blue Emu car. Haven't talked a lot about him. Started towards the front. Remember, he started this race in the 8th position. Fell back and has just been sort of hanging out. But now, as the laps wind down, working his way back up towards the front. And clean car to do it. That's always a good thing to have. But yeah, I don't know if at this point you can hang out anymore. Parker, you got to put yourself in a position to be up front right now, don't you?
Well, you really do, because it's going to start to get harder and harder to move forward. Everyone gets more serious about it. It's just like real life. You can hang out to a certain point, but if you wait too long, they start to get too wide all the way through the field. They get 3 wide at times, and it gets blocked. Yeah, you can't go anywhere. So you've got to start making those moves when they least expect it, which is why people try so hard to stay up front. And we're going to start seeing this. Yeah, we're going to start seeing this pack condense. Oh, that's so cool watching them slide off the corner. But
to the corner.
They're definitely going to see them start to condense a lot and get closer and closer to each other. And I think this is a perfect time to once again shout out the giveaway we're doing on eraser.gg, Landon. If you do, what is it? It's ! Winner. And you can in the Twitch chat, you can enter the giveaway we're doing with a 27-inch curved monitor. We got a gaming headset, gaming keyboard, and a big green egg being given away in the next couple days after this event. So go check it out.
Boy, we had a moment right there between Jordan Hurley, Alonso Morales, and Will Cooley as they were 3 wide going into 3, and Hurley had to back way out of it there to avoid a crash occurring between all of them. So again, these 3 wide moves, Landon, we see these drivers making it up front in the middle of the pack, but you got to feel really confident in your car to make that 3 wide move.
What's this bad news on my...
Oh, no! They save it. No, there goes Jake Nichols up and over. Jake Nichols off of turn 2. That's going to collect a whole bunch more. Christian Peterson's involved. Will Cooley down to the apron. David Brown again involved as we get another yellow flag right in front of the field. Surprised that wasn't bigger than it was, but the big loser in that one, Jake Nichols in the number 73 Motorsports machine. Up and over as it was first initiated by Christian Peterson, I think, getting up into the vent track machine of Tucker Minter.
Oh.
Wow. I think I saw the controller king squeak through there with no damage, so Blue Emu can relax, I hope. And that's Peterson just...
Wow.
Oh, and Jake Nichols just trying to squeeze through there, but...
Yeah, if he doesn't get right reared there, he's probably fine and just... Oh, but I mean, that's impossible to say. You know, woulda, coulda, shoulda. If, ands, or buts. There's
man, these guys
that's a tough one.
These guys are wrecking more. They're losing their cars more than I expected.
It looks like Peterson hit that bump in 1 and 2, and it really shot him up the track into Minter. He just missed the corner completely, and Jake Nichols took the evasive action down low and ended up getting hooked in the right rear as he couldn't keep the car down there. Just too much speed. Centrifugal force pushed the car back up, and he went up in the air. Wild ride for him. Jordan Hurley caught a piece of that, but a whole bunch of them scattered down. Alonso Morales there. Will Cooley, like I said, just scattered down into the grass to try and avoid it as we got more damaged cars here. And another caution as we get close to 40 laps to go. Another big incident as you look at Nichols just up and over there.
And I want to say, before we watch these guys pit and make their strategy decisions here, it's going to be very, very close on fuel if we go green from here. Very close.
Here's the thing. Caution laps. And I think this is where you start to seriously think, guys, about caution laps and caution lap is
You
worth.
need more than one caution.
No, I know, but well, I think we're on pace.
And if
for
it goes
that,
green,
right?
if it goes green, Parker, I mean, you're talking a splash and go.
Well, but
let's splash.
Being realistic, seeing at the trends of the race here, I'm not thinking we're gonna go green all the way to the end. I think we're in for at least a little bit more carnage. These guys are, they're basically putting everything on the line. They're trimming those spoilers back if they're not already at 10 degrees and seeing what they got and hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
So difference of opinion between the two drivers up here in the booth. Landon seeming a little more conservative, Parker a little more pessimistic on what we're going to see here. I guess I'll split the difference just for the sake of entertainment and say, well, I don't know what the middle is between where you two stand. I just want to see a great finish, let's be honest. But it's curious to see the difference of strategy here. Byron, the first one off of pit road. Gorlinski is going to follow him out along with Bob Bryant to Merchant. 2 tire stops for Byron and Gorlinski, and apparently Bob Bryant as well with 2 tire stop.
Oh, it's maybe a team Byron strategy call right there.
Interesting.
You know, our race control just kind of chimed in my ear and let me know that 2 drivers in this field have not made contact with anything. They're a 0X right now. That would be William Byron Jr. and the controller king, AJ Henderson, in the Blue Emu.
Wow.
Bluebird. So our 2 cleanest drivers with 0Xs there.
What are we sipping on there, Parker, out of the Valvoline mug?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Valvoline.
It's Valvoline. Yes, it's Valvoline. Trusted motor oil. But no, this was a evening beverage. Tonight's choice is truly lemonade seltzers. Yep.
Evening beverage. Look at that beauty. Walking Wumpus.
That's a name.
Walking Wumpus. Thank you.
Wow. Love that.
Hey,
thank you, Walking Wumpus. He loves our production. Should give another shout out to our whole production team. It's a very deep team, and you know, it's a very cohesive team that's putting on a great broadcast over the last couple weeks, led by Ryan Bauer. All of them have done an incredible job.
Yeah, fantastic work by the entire staff here at E-Racer, and it takes a big team to make something this big come to life. You guys had a vision, you had a goal of what you wanted to pull off, and recruited a great group of people to make this thing happen. I'll take the opportunity when we got about 40 laps to go here in this race to say, for me, I can only speak for myself, but I think I'll echo the sentiments of a lot of people who are either involved in this production or watching it. This is the finest sim racing production I've ever seen or been a part of, and you both should be very, very proud with what you pulled off here.
Thank you,
David. Thanks for
really
the whole
appreciate
team.
it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully all the viewers out there have enjoyed it, and we're just looking forward to having another excellent finish as we get late in this race and seeing who's going to get that $2,000 for winning here tonight. But we got to give a shout out to all 344 people that entered this as we get the green flag.
Big green flag back in the air. William Byron Jr. leading him down. Gorlinski, Bryant, DeMerchant, Eric Smith make up the top 5. It's going to be Kerwin, Cattell, Busa, Blackford, Colton Salick. He was rolled over at one point earlier in this race. Now he's back into the top 10 in his number 99 high-performance motorsports machine.
Can't keep a good thing down. Fighting back. Get a little rollover never hurt anyone.
I'm telling you, he's got his roof numbers on the wrong way. We'll give him a little bit of flack for that, but is there 3 wide almost up there in the top 5 again, showing no restraint whatsoever. It's going to be DeMerchant out in front, Eric Smith into that second position, just shoving DeMerchant to the lead.
I mean, this is crunch time for these drivers now. I mean, I guess maybe they need like you said, Parker, they need a caution to make it to the end on fuel, so they're probably just racing like they know they have to pit, or what?
Oh, 100%. You're just going to go as hard as you can. Unless crew chiefs start to get to you. You know, maybe you get, 15, 20 laps in this run, maybe 15 laps, and you start to make that decision, all right, I've got to maybe back it off. I think I may be in a fuel scenario here, but I truly believe you're going to go as hard as you can right now, get the best track position you can, especially William Byron, Seth DeMerchant, and you try and hold on to it because, they know this could put them in a perfect position with 1 or 2 cautions to be at the front of this thing right when it matters.
We even wobbling their way down the front straightaway here. Just so many big moves being made as this front pack is made up of about the top 14 cars. Doing a report that Jimmy Mullis has been knocked out of this event. He's on pit road trying to get damage repaired. Kevin McAdams officially retired from this event in the 36th position, caught up in that most recent wreck. Kane Cook is multiple laps down. Garrett Conrath still 1 lap down. So that leaves 33 cars on the lead lap at this time.
Jay Smith fighting to the outside. We saw him involved in that 3-wide wreck affair earlier. Took out a lot of cars in the big green egg machine. He's an aggressive racer. He's known for it in the eNASCAR series. It's kind of his reputation a little bit. Does not like to back down, likes to, ruffle feathers a little bit and try to make aggressive moves, and he does get away with it at times. So you can't knock the guy for it. It's just, it's the way he races. It's his style. John Gorlinski makes a mega move down to the bottom there, coming off turn 2.
Watching with great interest to see what these guys do as we switch to the Blue Emu onboard cam with Kyle Putz as we watch the leaders working through the banking off of turn 4, coming to start lap 125 of 160. Brian Blackford up into the 8th position. Bob Bryant currently scored in 7th. It wasn't that long ago, it seems. Bob Bryant had accumulated some damage and then had a wonderful Moses moment through that big wreck on the front straightaway as well. Again, now in that 6th position, 3rd car in the outside lane.
I mean, William Byron on the inside of the 2nd lane, he is not cutting the leader any slack, giving big pushes to Eric J. Smith. As a jackets are off, you're right, Brett. Baldeck,
thank you.
Jackets are off of the Firecracker 400. We're hanging out now.
He also asked how many White Claws I was in. It's actually Truly's, and it's only 2. So
yeah, only 2. Got it.
We're only 2 in. Yeah, we're not there yet.
Wait a minute.
We got a lot of work to do tonight. We got a lot of work.
Speaking of White Claws, where are my White Claws, Parker?
You're gonna win them soon. We'll get them to you, obviously, after this. So let's stay focused here, David. I'll get them to you later. Don't worry. I'm a man of my word.
New leader, the 25. Just for a second. Never mind.
Yeah, you spoke too soon. You spoke way too soon.
Hey, look, he has not won. He has not liked being anywhere other than up front. William Byron, and that 25. He clears himself.
Oh,
God, Eric J. Smith, that's a close one. That Eric cut him a break into 3.
Definitely. I told you he's aggressive. That's what he's known for. That guy, he does not back down. And, I think I'm not going out on a line or a limb saying this. He has not made many friends with those moves throughout the eNASCAR series, but I'm not going to knock a guy who's overly aggressive at times if he gets away with it. And I see Eric Smith get away with it a lot of times. So if you can do that, I look at racing as looking out for, numero uno. You look out for yourself and you only, because no one else will. And he does that, and he does a great job of it. And sometimes it looks overly aggressive, but if you can get away with it, make it work for you, you know what? More kudos to you.
That's right. 34.
If it gets you there and it works.
Laps to go.
Yep. Aggression. We've seen some aggressive drivers.
Green,
me too. I want to see it go green. I want to see one green flag pit stop.
Well, we're not going to. I don't know if we're going to see one. I mean, we're going to see guys start saving fuel here before too long.
Can you really save that much fuel, Landon, when you're in a pack like this and you got to be hammered down all the time?
If you want to make it to the end, then there's Eric Smith.
I think he'll get out of the way.
Is he going to save it?
He does.
He saved it.
And I think they all get around cleanly. Wow.
What a save. We're going to need to see that again.
Absolutely.
He was so out of shape. He never had that car under him as he went into turn 1, was fighting it, saving it, and had the wherewithal not to overcorrect it back up onto the track, into the path of traffic. Great heads-up driving by the rest of the field to give him space. And they all keep going along, and my goodness, a collective sigh of relief from the entire field that we didn't tear up a whole bunch of cars right there.
The Persian got super loose, too, on for turn 2 at the same time. All sorts of things went down there. Wow. So that the second time he went up on the track there, I thought he definitely was going to lose that. But what excellent car control by Eric J. Smith. And look, that's what we're saying. He is aggressive. He goes after it. And he doesn't always get away with it, or a lot of times, more often than not, does get away with it. But occasionally, it just is a step too far. And you said it, David. He never even had control of that car. He entered the corner, and that thing was too sideways and going away from him.
Hey, this race is starting to look like Firecracker 400s of old. As the cars are singling out a little bit. The track temp is continuing to rise. It's 123 at the moment, I believe. And look who just moved into 4th place. Brian Blackford, in the Hall of Fame car, has been stalking the field all day. He started up front. He even asked me, he said, I changed my steering wheel. Does that mean I need to start at the back? And I was like, yeah, we're going to go easy on end of the line, end of the lines. We need to start in your spot. He told me his strategy before the race was to be conservative. He wanted to keep his car in one piece. He's already had a little bit of damage, but look at this. In the top
Landon,
4.
We have a viewer there from Japan who's just checking in here for the Firecracker 400. We have gone worldwide. It's Ultra Racing Phil. Said he's going to enjoy the finish of the Firecracker 400 all the way from Japan. Thank you, Ultra Racing Phil.
Thank you, Phil. There you go.
Very cool.
Awesome. Kerwin just snuck his way up to the lead, snookered William Byron on the bottom, and really put himself in a hole that wasn't necessarily there, but made it stick. He's got help from Brandon Cassill right now as Byron's up on the high side without much help, hoping for Michael Guest and company to pull up to his back bumper. But again, these guys just making these bold moves as we have a wreck on the back straightaway. That's Alonso Morales around by himself. No caution flag here, and will stay green. That was a single car incident for Alonso Morales.
Oh, they're getting really tight up front now. And I start to get nervous when I see them clearing themselves. Obviously when the spotter hasn't cleared them yet, because those noses just poke out just enough. That's how we've seen a couple incidents begin.
Feel the intensity raising. You can sense it.
Down sideways.
He saved it.
What a save. They're coming up on the lap cars of Jake Nichols and Kane Cook here.
Oh, they got to play clean here. This can get tense.
Have not been easy in this event.
They caught him in a good spot. That was a good spot to catch him. A lot of runoff room for the lap cars to get down there.
Yep.
Seth DeMerchant pounding Casey Kerwin. There's still that damage on the right side. I just love that you're never out of this thing. We have seen so many cars be involved in wrecks, spun out, hit the wall, whatever. These things are just such bricks. They can take a bit of a beating. You can ruffle wrinkle the fenders and get away with it and still have the speed. Every car up there has got a little bit of damage.
Hey, you guys know I want to hear about some fuel mileage. Tim's got a report for us. Kim,
you got something on fuel mileage?
Yeah, just a reminder, they last pitted with 40 to go, and remember that fuel window, mid-30s to high 30s, depending on how good the driver is at saving. But if you're up front, you're definitely burning more fuel than the guys in the pack. So we're going to get very close. This could turn into a fuel mileage race, and the guys that maybe hadn't saved enough, remember, will have to do those green flag pit stops if they run out of fuel, and they have not practiced those.
So we did see a couple cars. Yeah, thank you, Kim, for that report, because we did see a couple cars pit a second time. AJ Henderson pitted. I think Will Cooley pitted, came back down pit road. So these are drivers that it's a couple seconds back from the leaders right now, just riding, knowing that they at least have a one lap more fuel in the tank. Look at Blue Emu on Twitter.
Controller King is one of only 2 drivers contact free.
That's just because he knows his team owner there, Landon Cassill, would be charging him for any sort of wrinkle damage at this point. So he's a real promoter at this point. He'll charge him for any wrinkles on that virtual car.
He's running that 17th position all by himself. He's got no help out there right now, AJ Henderson. So he might have a clean car, but we've seen plenty of beat-up cars towards the front. So maybe he needs to wrinkle that thing up just a little bit and get in amongst those guys.
Back there saving fuel.
I gotta add one more tidbit here from the Facebook chat. Brian Willard has been watching from Victoria, Australia. He's loving the broadcast, he says. So we are truly global at this point.
These are the things you love to see. That as much is for sure. As Byron sees his way back out to the lead with a great push from behind from Brandon Cassill. Brandon Cassill has been turned around so many times in this race, and still here he is in that 3rd position. We've seen Eric Smith be drawing the ire of some cars, and he's in that 4th position. It's just amazing how some of these guys who've been in these wrecks are still running towards the front.
So Ryan Sullivan wants to hear the engine noises here. I think I could convince our producers to just let it, raise it up, turn up the volume. All right, guys? So we're going to turn ourselves down and listen to these race cars.
All right, so there you go. There's your roar of engines, and I mean, it's so great to hear. You hear it. It's one thing to experience it in the car. One thing to experience it as a fan is Seth the Merchant waggling out of line there. That's a term right there. I don't know where that came from, but he was. Well, let's just say this: Seth the Merchant is very, very good at drifting a race car. I don't think I've seen anybody better in iRacing at drifting a stock car than Seth the Merchant. When you think he's out of control, he's very much in control. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he pushes Byron to the lead.
I always make the joke when I see guys like that they're just trying out for a D1 drifting opportunity, because sometimes some just are comfortable being sideways, and as you know, in drifting it rewards that sort of behavior. So racing not always so much, but it is spectacular to watch, and it's cool. It's wow, I guess you can't keep this guy down. Eric Smith, he causes a wreck earlier, comes all the way back to be fighting for the lead, then basically loses the back end into turn 3, spins, half spin, saves it. There's a great picture there from Justin Melillo, who's an incredible photographer and a great journalist. Been covering the Firecracker 400 all month. Look at that awesome photo of Eric Smith, super sideways. He saved that thing and then gets back to the lead. That is absolutely incredible. So guys, we might be looking, as we said, at our first green flag stops of the night. This could turn into a bit of a fuel mileage battle. So why don't we take a look at one of our last NASCAR Hall of Fame historic moments with Winston Kelly about pit stops.
No pit road speed and the start of modern pit stops. This NASCAR Hall of Fame historic moment has NASCAR Hall of Famer Bobby Allison pitting for tires and fuel on lap 133 of the 1986 Firecracker 400.
Hopefully get him out in under 16 seconds. Allison's car is still in the pits. They're cleaning the windshield. Now up the jack. He's down on the way. 15 and 9/5 seconds.
Perfect. Man, that was cool. That was awesome. Man, that was
a far cry. Far cry from what we see today, that's for sure.
Again, maybe it's just a gas and go, but I am starting to hear some of these drivers, we're getting some reports in on where these drivers are at. Brian Blackford thinks he might be good to make it. Ooh. I don't know about might be, though. I'm not sure how I feel about a might be good. So, a lot of these guys in the pack, I mean, how much fuel saving can they really do?
Well, I think this is actually exactly what's happening here. So we saw Eric Smith drive through this pack from outside the top 10, fly to the lead. I think Cassill, Byron there, William Byron, you've got Seth DeMerchant, Casey Kerwin, Michael Guest, Brian Blackford. I think they're chilling. They are all saving right now, knowing this is a fuel mileage situation. They know that this is really tight. They might have to actually, oh, hey, look at that. That's my brother who lives in my same building and is actually tweeting, which is unusual for him. He's never actually used Twitter, so I'm not sure how he figured that one out, nor how he found this broadcast. But we're truly global, and then we're also in the same building as me watching this. But anyway, I think that this is definitely one of those situations where Eric Smith has decided, I'm going full tilt, hoping for a caution. The other drivers are trying to play a little smarter. A
family affair, you could say. Outstanding stuff right there. And another one from Belgium, watching over in Belgium. So again, another international fan base checking in here for the Firecracker 400. Thank you for getting an early start to your day or a short night, whatever it might have been. We appreciate you watching as we get down into closing stages. It's going to be 16 laps to go next time by, as this field has really spread out. Landon, they are up front. We see these gaps. We haven't seen gaps like this amongst our leaders until this point in the race. That tells me these drivers are starting to think.
Here, this might be it. I see cars sliding through the...
Oh, that's Kyle Putz in the grass along with Jordan Hurley. Saved it.
Save it. The green is still out.
Guys, so I'm getting some reports here of drivers that are, as we look at this replay, Kyle Putz, it's Tony Ball that gets in the back of him, throws him into the grass.
Wow.
Great save.
What a save.
That's a big save.
Oh man, it's getting tense right now. I'm getting tense.
So we are getting reports of drivers that are running around quarter throttle right now at this time. So I truly believe we are seeing some serious fuel games going on in this last run.
So they're
only appropriate.
Committed. That just means they're committed to.
They're gonna make it. They're gonna try and make it.
Well, you had to have started a while ago if you're going to make this fuel mileage thing work, right? I mean, you can't wait until this part of the run to start saving fuel. Right? You had to have been doing it all along, but I think the nature of these cars, how quickly they build speed down the straightaways, you can run it at quarter throttle and still be just fine. But Brian Blackford's really caught my eye. He just jumped Casey Kerwin to move up into the 5th position. Doesn't appear that Brian's really saving a whole lot of fuel. He's making big, aggressive moves.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he said he was good before, I mean, this was like 15 laps ago that I had heard that he was good to go on fuel. So, I mean, good to go is good to go. There's no green, white checkers. You don't have to save for any extra laps, but man.
The Merchant takes over 3rd from Byron, and now Blackford trying to do the same thing to take 4th away down the back straightaway. So the Merchant positioning himself nicely as we're inside of 15 laps to go now. Lap 147 up on the board will be 148 next time by. Blackford can't complete that pass. As they go single file once more, Michael Gueston 7th, Gorlinski, Tony Ball up into that 9th position, but he's way back from this pack. This is a 7-car pack right now for the lead. It's a 2.5 second gap back to 8th place, John Gorlinski.
And I like this. As we go, look at this, triple cameras on the right onboards. Great job by our whole production team to put these shots together. Very cool to see. You can basically pick or choose what you want. Oh!
No!
Eric Smith gets spun out of the lead!
Oh no, Eric Smith spun. Caught the wall and just spun by himself. No one got into him. He caught the wall and trying to pull it off the wall, just hooked it hard left. Heartbreak for Eric Smith from the lead all the way out of it. We stay green, but that's one less car in this lead pack, and we'll hand the lead back over to Brandon Cassill.
He never actually spun all the way. He just slid down to the infield.
Exactly. It's like he hit the wall there, blew a tire. I mean, that was so odd. Whatever happened there.
Yeah. He hit that wall. He had a lot of wheel into it. Yeah, he hit the wall and he had all that left turn into it to try and keep it out of the wall, and it just shot hard left.
So, and then you mentioned it, Landon, no caution. He gathered it up basically. So, no caution. We keep going. It's just removed one more driver from this lead pack as William Byron and Cassill go side by side for the lead as we're going to come to 11 to go. Fuel mileage is an issue. Tires are wore out. Cars are beat up. Who wants the Firecracker 400?
Hey, Parker, even if we get a caution, now you have 15 drivers with old tires. The leaders are wrecking. Oh, man, what a save. This is incredible. Blackford cuts him a break off of 2. Oh. I mean,
here we go. Another run down the back straightaway. Casey Kerwin's got a head of steam. Where does he go? He lines up with Blackford. William Byron back out in front of this thing. Cassill and DeMerchant up on the high side. That's, wow. You can tell the intensity is ratcheting up now. There's no doubt about it. 10 laps to go. In the Firecracker 400, Cassill looking for it. Byron through the block up high. Now Cassill down low. Cassill takes the lead back.
Oh, my gosh.
So much action. Kim's got a little report on it.
Kim, what's going on?
Tell us.
You guys talked about this being a fuel mileage race and that guys were already using 3/4 throttle to save fuel. Well, we've already got some bets going on Twitter. The official HPM thinks that Colton Salick is going to run out sometime off turn 2 and the start-finish line on the final lap. It's going to be close. Other bets being made. And then Freddie Kraft had tweeted earlier, coming to the checkers, he would want to be around 15th to 20th.
Oh, the wrecking, Kim. Sorry, I got to cut you off there. William Byron's around. Brian Blackford's around. Casey Kerwin's around as well, along with others. Caution flag flies as they go wildly through 3 and 4. Another one involved there, and Colton Salick squeaks by, but another wreck with the leaders as Byron caught the wall, brought it back down right into the path of Blackford. Seth the Merchant in the 57 involved, and everyone except for Brandon Cattell involved in that wreck.
God, they were on such old tires. You could see them sliding around. They were all over the place. They were just completely sideways and slipping through the corners. The track temp has risen to its highest level of the day. I believe at 124 degrees right now. It's the slickest it's been. William Byron just slid up a little too far, touched the wall, slowed up, and Blackford had nowhere to go, getting in the back of him, and that caused all that melee there. Wow, this was going to be an epic sideways finish, I believe, and it will still be an epic finish, but that was going to be crazy if we could have continued on.
Here's the thing. So, this caution will probably make these guys good to go on fuel. So with 9 laps to go, do you take tires? Do you take right side tires? Who's going to stay out? This is for the win. So somebody is going to stay out on those old tires, wouldn't you think?
I would think you got to come down for something here. You got to put some sort of tire on this car. You're not going to win it on these old tires. There's just no ways. You see Cattell makes it very obvious. He's coming to pit road.
Guest stays out.
No. Michael Guest?
Michael Guest stays out. Matt Busa stays out.
Not enough.
Need more than 3 cars staying out.
Nope.
Yeah, Eric Smith stays out as well. So a handful of guys decide to stay out. Colton Salick stays out as well. So that's Josh Chin. Haven't talked about Chin yet tonight. So that's 5 drivers electing to stay out on those old tires. Guys, you know what this means now on this restart. This is going to be very tense moments here for all these drivers who come off of pit road with fresh rubber. Tony Ball going to be the first one off of pit road. 2-tire stop for him. AJ Henderson, 2-tire stop as well, along with Brad Slaughter Jr. and Tucker Minter. Your first 4-tire taker in 11th, Brandon Cattell.
This is going to get wild.
No tires, 2 tires, 4 tires. What comes out of this, we will find out as we look at Michael Guest electing to stay on the track, cutting across the grass, which is fine. But a big decision there. Big decision. 5 cars not coming down pit road. Another 5 taking just right side tires. And everybody behind him on 4 fresh tires. Oh, so my goodness.
10 cars deep until there's 4 tires?
That's correct.
Oh, my gosh.
How does this play out? Parker, what do you think? What do you see here?
This is going to be wild. If you thought the Firecracker 200 finish was wild, I don't think you've seen anything yet, because we didn't have nearly the difference in tires, in strategy, all these things. So I think we're in for something far more spectacular even than we saw in the 200. But I believe, Kim, you have something more for us on what you might see in this finish?
Well, yeah, Parker, I don't know what we're going to see. It could be anything, but you mentioned the Firecracker 200 that we ran on Monday. Remember, Jake Pullen took home the checkers. He restarted 13th on the final restart before taking the hardware in the Firecracker 200. So where do you want to be? I'm going to pose you guys the question. Where do you want to be on this restart, knowing that there's guys that didn't pit, guys that took 2, and, of course, guys that took 4?
Great point. So, yeah. 13th, eh? Let me see who's in 13th right now. That's Bob Bryant. So it could be a major comeback for him. William Byron, he's probably a little bit damaged. He's in 18th. Could come back from all the way back there. I don't know. This is going to be insane.
We come into green this time by.
Could be 6 laps to go when we get this restart. Let's run you through the top 10. Michael Guest is your leader. Matt Busa, Colton Salick, Eric Smith, Josh Chin, the top 5 elected not to come down pit road. Tony Ball in 6th, A.J. Henderson, Adam Gordon, Brad Slaughter Jr., and Tucker Minter fill out the rest of the top 10. They took just 2. It'll be Brandon Cattell, the first driver on 4, Kyle Putz in 12th, Bob Bryant, Gorlinski, Good in the top 15, Martinez, Kerwin, Byron, Bowden, and Lisenby round out the top 20. I don't know where in the world you want to be in this field because it seems like the incident can come from anywhere. So the no-tire guys are going to be in trouble here, I think. They're hoping for a quick yellow, I imagine. We'll see how it all plays out as the pace car is going to head down pit road, put the field in the hands of Michael Guest for what could be the final restart here with 6 laps to go. Big green egg, green flag in the air. Guest is down and away. Matt Busa ducks out of line. Eric Smith will join him down on the bottom as here comes Colton Salick shoving Guest up top.
This is going to get wild. They're already sliding around, moving all over the place. They haven't even gotten up to speed yet.
Well, these guys all have old tires, Parker, and you can see that second pack almost just giving the lead pack room in anticipation.
Yeah, I think they feel like they're going to get up to them pretty quickly here. Those front cars are going to slide around. All last pitting on lap 118. Long time ago.
Oh, they're wrecking in 3. They save it up against the wall. That was Minter and Slaughter who get together. They stay green. Here comes Brandon Cattell. They're wrecking up front again with Eric Smith into the wall. He's sideways, pointing down pit road. Backing up across the track on the front straightaway. Again, we stay green. 5 laps to go here in the Firecracker 400, and it is getting spicy up front. Matt Busa leads this thing. Sideways, and he gets Guest. Guest up against the wall. Busa's up and over. Tony Ball's around as they're wrecking off of turn 2. Caution flag flies as cars continue to pile in. Does this end the race?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
There'll be enough time. There will be enough time.
Colton Salick is your leader. Coming to start lap 157.
Believe this should allow
for a 1-lap shootout, wouldn't it?
At least a 1-lap shootout, maybe a 2-lap shootout. Let's see how this all, where the caution is thrown, considering the lap, where they are in the lap, all those things. As they catch the pace car, add up here. So we see this.
You see on the restart, or on the replay, it's just Busa was trying to hold on to it, trying to hold just no grip in those old tires. And he gave it a spirited chance to try and make it work, but just didn't happen, and he had to carry the car up the hill into Michael Guest, and that wrecked a lot of cars.
You've got Colton Salick, Joshua Chin, Brandon Hayes Cattell, Gorlinski, Martinez, and I'm just going to say A.J. Henderson, your top 6.
The controller king rises again!
Actually, I think it's... I might have...
Timing and scoring, it looks like it's Salick, Chin, Cattell, Henderson, Gorlinski, your top 5. Bryant, Martinez, Adam Gordon, perhaps, 7th and 8th, Kerwin 9th, and Bowden in 10th.
I'm looking at the pace car here. I've got Henderson P. They're about to cross the line here. Henderson P4, Cattell 3rd, Chin 2nd, and Salick leading.
Yep, 100% correct. We'll see here now. It's going to be 3 laps to go. If they didn't get 2 to go here, oh boy.
These replays are just insane.
The chat is saying 1-lap shootout.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be a 1-lap shootout here, which means the next flag will end it. There will be no caution. It's going to be the checkered flag.
I mean, it's going to be wreckers or checkers, and probably both.
Colton Salick finds himself at the front of this pack, guys. Remember, he was in the first crash of the night, flipped over.
Never give up.
The driver for High Performance Motorsports, I'm sure Nick Morris is loving this, hoping there isn't a restart that his driver has to survive to try and secure this Firecracker 400, but I think he's going to have to go through 1 lap, and Lord only knows what awaits us in that 1 lap.
Yeah, this is This is crazy. And I believe, Kim, you have a little more info on our leader?
Yeah, well, we've been talking setups all night long and whether guys trimmed out their race car or went with more downforce. And Colton Salick actually describes his car as still loose, but more stability than his teammates. And his teammates, remember, Nick Morris and Mitchell Hunt, they raced in the Firecracker 200. They both got loose when they were up front. Colton up front right now, but again, he says he's got more stability in that race car. So maybe he's going to be the exception tonight and be able to keep it out front without getting loose.
See. Very interesting. Thank you, Kim. That was that's great info.
Yeah,
really good info. So it's we talked. You just mentioned David Nicholas Morse last night was, or sorry, 2 nights ago, Monday night was in the running for that win in the Firecracker 200. Had a car that was really unstable. He was hoping maybe that this race was going to end under caution, but it's not. We're going to get a shootout here. So can he hold on for at least one lap up front with that more stable car?
Oh boy. Well, I'm gonna get my voice ready. I would recommend both of you do the same because I imagine we're gonna be going up a few octaves for this one. As it's gonna be Colton Salick.
Unfortunately, my Valvoline cup is empty, so I got nothing here. Yep.
Well, we won't have to come back on air for a while, so get it all out tonight. It's gonna be Colton Salick in the lead, Joshua Chin in second, Cattell third, Henderson fourth, Gorlinski in fifth, Bob Bryant in sixth, Adam Gordon 7th, Alec Martinez 8th, Casey Kerwin 9th, Colin Bowden rounding out the top 10. Winston Kelly checking in. Firecracker 400, awesome. Really good stuff. Hate to see the NASCAR Hall of Fame car with Brian Blackford spun. Looking forward to an exciting finish. We all are, Winston. We all are. And thank you so much again for everything that you contributed into tonight's event. If you're Colton Salick, this has got to be the best lap of your life.
My money's on AJ Henderson, the controller king.
Oh, really?
I'm taking him in the blue emu. Emu's in the chat. Emu's in the chat for Henderson. Let's go, buddy.
Here's the thing,
Come
guys.
on, man. You can do this.
This is a one-lap shootout for $2,000. Whoever is leading at the end of this lap will be $2,000 richer. Let's see who can pull it off.
Friendships might be tested in this last lap. Let's all find out. Pace car down for the last time. Big green egg, green flag in the air. The Firecracker 400 will see its final lap with Colton Salick out in front. How well can he defend this? They're too wide behind him. AJ Henderson goes up top. Here comes Gorlinski to try and help him.
Salick's got a commanding lead right now. They're not organized behind him, but I think they're going to have a huge run. I think that's Joshua Chin being pushed by Cattell. They're going to come with a head of steam. Here you got Gorlinski pushing Henderson up top. Who's going to have them let him down the backstretch?
How well can Colton Salick block? There's the block. Chin turns him. He turns him. Up and over goes Salick. They're 3 wide for the lead. Sliding behind him, it's going to be Bob Bryant on the bottom. He doors Cattell. Bob Bryant gets turned and saves it. Here comes Brandon Cattell. It's going to be Cattell. The Firecracker 400 will go to Brandon Cattell. Unbelievable finish.
Wild.
Right third.
I said it on Monday.
Finish.
I will say it again tonight. Have you ever?
No. What a finish.
Nuts.
What a finish.
Unbelievable.
AJ Henderson 4th. Kyle
Oh my gosh.
5th. Will Cooley in the 006. Dylan Gooden with the top 10 and 8th. Lisenby 7th. I missed him.
Hey, and we finally got an addition. The final addition to the Ventrac Clover count. 7. Please put a hashtag, exclamation point below over in the Twitch chat. You can get brought to Ventrax. But guys, this was a wild last couple laps. And obviously Brandon Cattell absolutely ecstatic right now. Sending it into the grass. Firecracker 400 winner.
What a finish. What a finish. So many things took place there. You knew Colton Salick was going to have to throw a block to defend his position as Cattell burns it down in the infield here at Daytona International Speedway. The driver for Clint Boyer Racing getting Barstool Sports to victory lane for himself as well. Huge win for Slip Angle Motorsports as well. Everyone involved as Eric Smith will do some donuts with them. You just knew Salick couldn't defend it all, and he tried his best, but all the contact, all the changes for the lead. Bob Bryant, I thought he had it saved.
David, we've got our winner right here, Brandon Hayes Cattell. We're getting ready. We're gonna see the replay as well at the same time. I think, Brandon, walk us through that last lap.
I don't even know what to say, man. I gotta tell you right now, my voice is lost because I've been doing a lot of screaming in the last 20 seconds. But oh my God, man! When I doored Bob Bryant in 3 and 4, I thought for sure I was done for, man. And then they wrecked underneath me. I got lucky, dude. We worked so hard on this setup the last couple days. I told my guys I was sorry if I ran bad last night, Tuesday in the Coke race, because we wanted to win Daytona, man. I dreamt about this last night, and I can't believe I'm in victory lane. This is crazy.
That is awesome. But, I mean, you mentioned how much you want to put in this race, how bad you want to win it. Was it because it's Daytona, the 1987 car? You just got $2,000 for winning this race. What was it that kept you up and get you to dream about this?
I got to be real honest with you. My little girl's birthday is next month, and I really wanted to make it really special for her. So it's her 3rd birthday, and this is awesome, man. And it's Daytona. It's a home race, really.
Oh, that'll certainly help, Brandon. Congratulations, man. I'm excited for you as your Slip Angle Motorsports teammate. That gets me fired up. I'm going to have something to write about for sure on social media for the team. But, I mean, the last lap, you saw what was happening out in front of you. You were in like 2 or 3 different wrecks tonight. How on earth did you keep things together in your car and find yourself in a position to win this thing?
I just got to tell you, man, the car was just so fast. I could go from the back to the front. I felt like Dale Jr. just playing patty cake back there, man. It was fun to just go from the back to the front all day. But once we got in those wrecks, I thought it was going to be over for us, but we just got lucky. Like I said, here we are.
Here you are in victory lane at Daytona, man. Who made it happen for you?
Well, got to thank Barstool Sports for hopping on board for this race. It's really special to have them on board. Great to get them a win. Clint Boyer Racing, Ford Performance, the entire Slip Angle Motorsports for working so hard in not only this race, but the entire Coke series, and just anybody, all my teammates, man, they did such a great job. Jake Nichols qualifying, he qualified 2nd. We had such a fast race car, but it's just I don't even know who to thank. I'm just so happy to be here right now. I want to thank everybody, really.
It's amazing, Brandon. Thank you so much. Unbelievable win. Unbelievable last lap. A wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
2nd place in the booth, we have John Gorlinski with us. John, I mean, what a last lap, man. I mean, you were so close.
Yeah, I'm still trying to decompress from that one. Wow, the whole thing was crazy. I think I was the only guy left with a clean car. I didn't hit anything all race until turn 3 in the last lap. I got stuck behind the 89. I guess he had a little bit of damage from that other wreck before, and just got kind of pinned, made a super aggressive Hail Mary down the backstretch and managed to get kind of through whatever gap I could open up. And I mean, I'm amazed I got 2nd out of the whole thing, but that was so much fun.
You also hung out in the back a lot of this race, I thought. You know, you were sort of biding your time back there. You wasn't really getting to the front. When did you feel like it was time to, light the wick and get to the front and eventually try and see if you had the speed to stay up there?
There was a really big wreck. I actually fell out of the lead pack and was kind of stuck. And there was a really big wreck up front and it took out a ton of people. And I came out of the pits really close to the front. And then we had like another yellow, and I took 2 and got it 2nd behind Willie there. And that was pretty much go time. I think people were short on fuel. I was good on fuel. I was running the 10-degree trimmed out spoiler, and I think I was making better mileage than most people. So I was really curious what would have happened if the race played out all the way without that late race yellow.
John, you've been around this thing a long time, man. A mainstay in sim racing. You've been in some of the biggest races that have ever been held. Where's this one ranked for you? And even though you didn't win it, a 2nd place for you.
It's pretty high. These races, all the stuff Landon and Parker put on recently, they're so much fun. they're almost like white whales, you know. They're rare to have such big events, and I'm sure next year this one's going to have probably twice as many entrants. It's pretty high. I pride myself on still being pretty good, even though I'm maybe a little over the hill. But I can, when I get some time, I definitely put my mind to it and, you know, stay safe and keep it clean. And I'd say that was damn near a trademark Dayglow yellow race where I just, you know, keep it clean and end up at the front at the end.
Hey, I don't want to talk about over the hill, John. I know it's not hard it's not easy with the family. You definitely have your priorities, and it's unbelievable what you're able to accomplish on iRacing as well.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely shout out to my wife if she's watching. All friends and family. I think my mom might still be watching, so hi, Mom.
Of course.
Thanks, John.
Always the biggest fans.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
And guys, I think there's one story we got to get to who didn't quite finish in the top 5, actually finished back, I believe, in 16th, outside the top 15. But that is the driver that restarted that last restart in the lead, Colton Salick. I mean, what was going through your mind, bud, there in that last restart? Do you think you could hold on to it?
Well, a lot of things are going through my mind. I really thought I knew I flipped on lap 4, so I was way down on power. I really thought I was like 2 seconds off pace, and somehow got it all fixed. But I thought I could just block, and then I got a bit of a wobble, and I think we had a great blowover. I don't really know. I think it looked cool, which I guess is the positive.
You definitely did. You added to the Ventrac blowover count for sure.
We've got it. We've got it on the replay right now.
We're going to be playing it right here. But so go into that more. I mean, you felt slow. There's a lot of things going through your mind. I mean, you were throwing blocks there. Were you just Hail Marrying, hoping they would work?
Oh, 100%. I think everyone kind of went into this as like we want to win the first one. I mean, of course I really wanted to win, but I would rather go out in style going for a win than kind of pull over and get second there.
All right, pal, listen here. We met each other in very tough circumstances, and we've formed ourselves a nice little bond here as Outrun Esports teammates and had a lot of fun at each other's expense. Of course, you got one over on me last night with that tweet, but you know what? You gave it a hell of a run. You got my respect here tonight. Even in slow motion, that car looks beautiful. You represented that team well for High Performance Motorsports. Did you have a hope that this race was over and you didn't have to run that one last lap?
Oh, well, so I knew, recently we've been having glitches in like the practice races with the quickie yellows, and I thought it would have been a really convenient time for one of them, but obviously I was just preparing for one lap. I knew not to get my hopes up, and yeah, so it's unfortunate for sure, but I think everyone kind of knew we were here to fight through all the wrecks and miss all the wrecks and put ourselves in the right spot. Just sometimes it doesn't work out.
Oh, you did it, Colton. You did a great job. You drove her tail off and you went for it.
Good job, Colton, man.
Thank you.
Well, guys, yeah.
Wow.
That was quite an event. What a last 3 weeks. I know, Landon, we went into this wondering if we would get 100 people to sign up. Maybe less than that. We end up with 344, and the thing keeps growing. We had a list of people that want to join. They couldn't even get into it. We weren't sure who was going to watch. We weren't sure how we were going to put all this production together, and I think we can call this one a success, my man.
Yeah, let's hopefully we take a look at the results here, because we had what a mix of drivers, an amazing finish. We had 17 drivers on the lead lap. I'm just kind of looking at it myself here for a second, and we'll run through it. But 17 drivers on the lead lap. So not far from John Gorlinski's prediction of 15 drivers running at the finish. But there's your winner, Brandon Hayes-Cattell. The 2020 INFRA presents a Firecracker 400. What a race.
Wild. Look at that top 10. Head back here a little bit. Casey Kerwin, 11th. Chin, Alec Martinez. Brad Slaughter Jr., the favorite driver of Facebook. Colin Bowden was up front a lot. Colton Salick, who we just spoke to. Busa was up there. Alonso Morales, David Brown, Christian Peterson. I mean, it seems like every one of these names, David, took some sort of time up front in this race.
Yeah,
There were a lot of lead changes. Yeah, a lot of tough breaks. You see you big names here in the back as well in the mid-20s guys who, Brian Blackford and William Byron, who really dominated a lot of this race. So good runs, didn't get the great finishes, but man, they had a whale of an experience here tonight. As you see the last three, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Malik Ray, Colin Keister, the first three out of this event. But I think this lived up to the billing for sure. This was the Firecracker 400, the first one, the inaugural one. It's in the books. Yep. It's done, guys. You did it.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Special shout outs to a couple of my favorite top 10s. Obviously, Controller King with the top 5 and 4th. Kyle Putz 5th. Dylan Gooden in the Cassill Motors, your friend in the car business ride with a top 10 finish. Parker, thank you so much, man. This has been so much fun.
Buddy. You too.
Yep.
This has been an awesome time. David, thank you. I just got to give a huge thank you to all the competitors, their families, all the people have helped us put this together. iRacing, of course, for providing the incredible platform, all the incredible partners we had, like INFRA Resolution, so you can still go check out their giveaway for the next couple days to get a part of that huge giveaway. And guys, this was like a dream come true, having this chance to put on an event like this. I think there's a thought in my mind that sim racing has a very big part to play in motorsports future, and events like this can hopefully be a big part of that. And so I'm just really proud of this whole team, proud of you, Landon, for coming up with this, and really thankful to be a part of it, and can't wait to see what we do next.
David, any thoughts?
I think the question that everybody's going to have on their mind after this is, when's the next one?
Oh man, Parker,
we're gonna sleep for about a month first, and then we're gonna actually sleep for a while, and then we'll see what's next. But I think this was a great learning experience, and overall, thankfully, very well received. And I think we taught ourselves, Landon, we can do this. So we'll see how ambitious we get the next time.
That's right.
Absolutely.
We figured it out. We can draw a crowd. We can make it happen. And for that, all of you, David Schildhouse, Parker Kligerman, I'm Landon Cassill, to the chat on Twitch, everyone in Facebook right now, everyone on Twitter, everybody that's been supporting us, our wives, our families. Thank you so much. So roll the credits.